refinery product be a buy you so. Mama Yinja and commodity.
Oh,
I'm telling you, Obim Fretum, Obim Fretum, or from against me. Tell my oil refinery and refining product be a de Baba Menu.
Debbie, who's a Quadro who can't in some me no. One more refining, and product and a name by your drama. So
products are almost to be refining, and yet I'm new you used to know. It is I say for full security. In this as we stand, nothing wrong. My kind, a story beer, the former Tor MDR and the old Ministry of Energy. This man, the man who came from Oman, Suleiman. Suleiman, I'm interview here on one can absolutely say, Tama oil refinery, dear baby, see, Tiano, Oman crude oil crap, put out or own to be family. It's a moment in Jais in common. You see, people also react and also Mammy Quell Fuma. It's the Ayati, Waba, who said there be on my. I feel about to Mamiaba. Mammy Quell Fuma, mine as well, but I don't say about who be a person.
Debbie, Quadro, my antiasio. Me tama oil refinery. Yet is a year, Jumana, me acramisha metil for bo. Say, Mekoho, and some ababi do home come. It's me arrange ya na because me kwa infidious one more chap said or more refined and now say ain't to be my drama so no
tema refinery na and say you not doom your doom FDO and no management or buy no or mobile maintenance no more store machine no. Now my message to your free BB EPM sulfur content a war yeah so a petrol na ye ton and then no uko filling station sell cotton fuel or sulfur content in the fuel now or cotton diesel any petrol no it's about between 10 ppm they measure it by ppm per million something right in the sulfur content if I know 10 ppm the war it just it's about 10 ppm unim the war say any tomorrow refinery for diesel unim sulfur content
saying
about between 1,000 and 1,500 ppm.
It's not just no ain't me market me friend go shame.
Eba market obeton. So they will just know 10 ppm. Now the free time oil refinery bani between 10 and 5 and obeton.
And the internet is
because you will be there your friend with diesel fertilizer. Oh, so we have the technology na acronym. We have so acronym no. Refinery say one man no nyina no ya patro mo say first no na petrol diesel is free am no ne bado na nyina was between 1,500 ppm no na omo ka kire refinery say if we be diesel fertilizer if dia we see what e sulfur content no if free petrol diesel ni no na ma ne bafo obia emphasize ni be in refinery Ghana any most African refineries no ya nye sadia no enti amanone for no AC sa diesel fertilizer no yen sub-Saharan Africa most refineries do not have a diesel fertilizer including Ghana enti your fuel no obekate more dirtier than what is coming from the Western world. The only way I'll be to me atom the products from Paul is to now blend it with the external one. No? If you find say be over 1,000 ppm now afa amanone de no now the afa. Then you now call it commingled. You blend it and then it will come down to about 700 or 600 ppm. But the American say the tomorrow refinery for money rich. They will say, oh, I say about Ajubre, tomorrow refinery will make sure. Or they will make sure what? One, Omoniska or Mode Koto product about because I'm buying this car or the Mawo. Two, obviously tolling, Omono a tolling plant. It's Ubi the Fango Beba, now a baby tolly wo.
Yeah.
The Fango no Caribbean ho, Ubi Nabi. 1 a day baby tolly wo, no ppm, 1,000 a. Yeah, Cassanias is Central for Sea. Central is the only company that is importing for. Tomorrow we find Omokata or Mastati operations there, Bear, Busumi means any. Bus almost have they imported any crude oil? If not.
One must say a month for the debate. You need corporate. Why not dear? What I know they may be signed, but when to me are more companies and about
an amount finding put the ought to be more. let's say they can mention the name of the person. What is the quantity the person brought? Because that's a record. We can verify from MPA and the port how much crude oil came in and where it went. Crude oil about Ghana from January till now. The United is for sent you. And one of the crude oil bro. Crude oil and yet busy. There, what can say should be butu. Majority as here. And yet busy. What can say should be butu. And you have crude oil there, a bar. There's record of the crude oil coming in. Because it has to be locked, it has to be offloaded. And the records is public. Almost between January and now. Crude oil being the bar Ghana and you talk for the and what amount, what was the quantity. Well, the engine fine put it by because everybody will go on cultural. But how much quantity came to Ghana for store and where, when? There's no such thing. All the crude oil that has come into Ghana from January and now, it's for sent you. Unless they are trying to say, sent you for the any bar, no magic. If that's what they are doing, then they should tell us. But, Mama, we see, if we want to plan as a nation, as a member, this is serious business. That is why I be there. Panto say, "Oh my, me go from now on my because I bonus here. Obia so buchia. Oh my, no my engine. Me so buchia to come back. If we are planning, now we want to look at fuel security. This stage, this juncture, fuel is not part of the conversation because the fuel like there's no way we can count with activity from power. We just our politics them way.
Sir, corporate officer, ebetre say, one would me 28,000 barrels per day, and you're accurate.
Open to me, I hear 28,000 barrels per day if he has the crude oil. But no, Jerry, there were two sections of the refinery. You have CBU and your RFCC. RFCC, and the most part of the petrol now you use crude. CDU, what is called AR, then a bit of diesel. And too many diesel cacao, CDU, Now most of your products AR. Now they call RFCC now called refining for the lighter products. The name casino RFCC is Agyeman. Only the CBU is working. So you see, for the politics and for NIMP before NDC for the buy or my because by the end of this year, everybody will come around the table and acknowledge, say, the only way to save coal is the solution that the MPP had, which is a private sector participation or an investor in toll. Almost there be all between me. Fine, today, what they combat, his biggest headache is getting feedstock. Good oil. Abandoning his cow, the mouth. And also your tolling plant. Tolling plant, no tollia. Why they didn't put that free amanoni, crude oil, abro. Now I refine it. Now on to tom. Because friends, 1,000 ppm.
It is a woman refine the crana and products in a bebano. Ain't me my market. Internet banasana. Said your kind of
most of them, tolling companies, not on mobile or exporting. Will be a while or the crude oil in bar AR or exporting a call that refineries.
Okay.
Will do our back because 1,000 ppm although your magic maybe or the country be a house or magic no or the call. Into most of the companies before now almost a product back for a very refining now almost exporting products. In time, I can't say for a year, the products, we can use it in this packet. Most of them, people want to export it. But then, for strategic planning, our problems are back and not able. We bought for dinner. I'll tell the matter. Because Paul is not part of this conversation.
Paul, so I can't say even your local crude oil, no. One would to me refine the money ye.
Yes, almost to me refining, but almost refining what a deal you be now. They can refine our local crude oil, but almost refining a deal you be now. Can they supply us the diesel and the petrol we have on the market? Will the BDCs buy that product? The BDCs will not buy. And if they will buy, would they buy it at the same price as they are buying the ones coming from abroad? No, they won't do that.
All right. Sulfur content on say high sana and at the same say ashena and I said
it has eventually no, it has a engine no, it was so engine no, a sign particularly the environment or the sulfur in the environment is harmful. It is a sulfur no product petrol not diesel anymore. It be free or exhaust remove abba. Into global warming, environmental education no. The sulfur no mostly is not healthy for me. You better you being healthy. Into cars new cars who come in our air burn our product now. Then it means that the sulfur content in the air no it be increasing, but it's also no is not healthy for the engine. Or more car for Canada did the was a who's free to but car for no more thought or more Jerry will be 18 let's say about me. More problem.
Okay, so that's the reason. Now, Yansha, the issue at stake. It is a say as a minor. How should we? When best let's say for positioning Yahuye, said the energy ministry. Wama me here no. Say no. What should we do? Because a crisis in Tokwa inzu yenim say a baby na no chena.
In Tokwa ni the say bidi be bosomi taka. Bidi be na bosomi. I think say bidi bosomi. What should we do? Oh, say yeah, now we don't cry anymore. In crying sitting. Nyoma bia was anke ye no ya na nyipempi no civil society space no ya kan sem bia ya na nipa ni bintie. Ya can be about strategic stock. As a nation no, you need strategic stock. Whereby that to the cotton products the people for security reasons. Every 3 months be an on the boomsa said a bear that she be as a multi, maybe a BBC port, a big machine, a the pump for bano, a be an avacuum problem. It be beer to be said. What I say, it is a BBC here. Ubenya supply within the country no for a certain period of time. Start strategic stock. No. Yeah, I think that no government between parliament and executive no. To me, emfa tiasie enye juma emfa say okay emfa be 2 cities emfa sorry 20 pesos be and 30 pesos been talk fuel so because if for the born ever from you know no be a bossy you know mendisi for the politics and my papa ba and I see any product na kosora wo meka my papa ba ni bi so now yen hwede almost so ya and you know my products no cost because e go from no the box the deposit but products neighbor from now almost dimika e dey 1 cedi better so say you venture for electricity no they could have easily also put another 20 pesos for Ghana for now Ghana for yen say that should be you know you did also did kakra at all so and that 20 pesos no for me it is very essential. So the bear you bet me start here keep this strategic stock no. Now in CBC here, it me that me who say embedded the beer the coffee station so that the beer will be assured of a certain amount. And with that strategic stock no, there was 7 weeks in. With strategic stock, we could probably get like 2 months because they can also provide another 7 weeks. That's it. The 7 weeks, not 40.
But it's a stock. What is the difference? It's not them you're saying. Stock energy ministry. I may I said you able to be any strategic stock now work on.
Yeah, 7 weeks supply no more can be. Private companies no imports are a work so back.
Okay.
Private BDCs meaning I import. A be a poswa make us say any ye will be petrol and diesel. Ships ni be you know me and say be walk out almost train say we are almost about the you know the way poso. Inteno the only say oh ye ship poswa your vessels there for almost offloading. Ye share your tank more Ghana. Your product do say our tank more. And ye are the what a personal plus the way a tank will not able to be a group and to say that is what MPA is talking about. Strategic stock, it's a program by the government for emergencies. I know it is America, or Federal Reserves. And Federal Reserves, no, BBCR, even use Federal Reserves. And no, it is a bicycle in the area. But Ghana, no, a bicycle, a minimum. This is America says, the jet walk a credit to one of the strategic stock now, which is what the Americans call Federal Reserves. And no, dear, a better tank, if you are tank there, if you are tall tank, if you are tall tanks, no, any boss tanks, near GB. And no, a store strategic stocks. And no, every 3 months, yeah, no, not what on, not the full fragment. So the by the time I'll be here, no agency was a year about who you sleep and a holding coffee. Until every 3 months you refresh it. So the bear, I want in the also. Until no, the special program. EB assembly in Sydney, EB assembly in China. But that you know, here, but it's part of the security planning of the nation. Oh, right now, no, that security plan of the nation, no, we don't have that. That's a big problem. Yeah, pity. In shoot time, in shoot to pay as well. They don't worry. So young to ever sensitive. And me, no, catches a gang basis here. After na baby, a new Indian kind of thing.
Okay. Now, me pacho yembisa say so far. Which window? The next window set on the 15th. Likely
Monday.
Aha, Sunday, Monday. Let's just say likely say prices are not ever cost for any sir.
Me pacho wine. Now, I'm saying, Nina, or more a politics to deal. Not the policy about that. You don't have to wait for the window. You don't have to wait for the window. I'm saying, it's a deregulated market. The petrol, the system in the in the system, no. If news products about system anymore, the BDCs and the OMCs can change the prices anytime they want to change it. You don't necessarily have to wait for the window because a yet regulated market. But for some reason, no, I'm saying there is this understanding that of now change prices not at the next window. But really and truly, you don't have to wait for the window. Every company can change. But you see, I go back to air cost and the who company back up who product kakra now come shim now kotono CSR will be like I say I go product body because the increase is going to be very significant.
And no na offer daily graphic crana eye nimdifuo bi te se monoma energy hu sensemi boka bia wo mu ye ka se e ba ne sa na e sa ban ne consider se etuo bi adeda so no be ye free so already nim se 1 cedi na be top a liter no so no o to gallon bi a wentu ya kra no and your force is 50 pesos. It's another side ba se sa ban reconsider
onyi free so no ko first can way and say e serves for be 80 million cedis bi abi e kopa ajongu bi a o hu ni ga to force to call e ma de bufu ko serves for but over antes at no this guy in Jogofa Okoyi to an free no first can way and some de bi na me about my from billionaires boys club omo already the budget no we promising billion to a lot of projects and last year he couldn't meet his revenue target. This year it will be difficult for him to meet his revenue target because Ghana will hear no and I'm saying we are managing the bonnie position no and tax win. What be taxes in every so now without the taxes no how would you now do the revenue? Yeah, just also go back to the domestic bond market. You know, we are back to not yes, discard and you know it will bring back the same shocks. Be macro hospital when you can form one con. 10 million cities every more cuckoo. And on a buying a dream fish and come home. A buying not taking papa John Dramani kind of his presidency as a kind of say it's difficult, but it's that issue. It's not something an officer yet, but anyhow, in to me, Coca say, oh, medical for no medical na that should be my purpose and daddy. It is the Ministry of Finance they consider say, oh, you talk in this Ghana, you
a bit difficult.
Only scandal, the money is not there. Already, no, he's running a very big hole in his budget. And if he's to be able to meet up with his target, he cannot I said, we are still under the IMF. And the IMF will not allow that to happen. And it's not even prudent to do that. Already, no, it's not like you are running over budget. If you are getting over budget, they are also in a baby. The other thing, Ubi to me, I can hear. Tanka ye fango na Ghana ye tono. Tanka dorsuma. On the year budget, no. Ye the fango to $75 per barrel for budget na year 2026. No. And you know, I could do 100. So it means that your budget a year, no. Ghana in fact what $25 per barrel. Bear in mind, the start here, no. Do your budget for 75, no. Na fango no a 50. Into na ye boka $15 per barrel as per our accounts. Sika na ye share anymore, no. Na ye koton your fango na barrel biano near boka 50. Ye na 15 net aso. Ye de no atna for suminsia. Tinino say 25 Abino is making something, but he is recovering that for the last 3 months na unya escalo. But young fan is saying no Ghana ye be 1 million barrels your production no so there. Then we can say hey, because the petrol prices have gone, because the food prices have gone up, the excess money now a bit back for Ghana no. We can use that money to cushion the Ghanaian at the pump. But if crude oil in cost for any rosa, the guy in your free mono is not yet that substantial to do that exercise. No, the taxes yeah, it's difficult for the Ministry of Finance to remove the taxes.
Okay. Now, your free from one, men your quick thoughts on any your friend is saying, and you're so far. Bo share a year meter one sense ma yenyina ye complaining
both meter.
What do you say?
Using both meters no.
Using both meters no. Na meter na wow ye intumu na ba ye no. Ana system fail we be even though ye nyante because you hwemu koso a ye hwe ne mu say de na be free mu aba.
We knew for my ECG for 7 weeks. 7 weeks is
but you take for now. One month can be answering you.
Okay, I mean, Francis Chimuka. One will say, yes, that increment into mono, that will say starting from 1st January.
Yes.
Now, the way our system, no billing system, no area, you might say, oh, say, bro, no meters, no doors. The meters, no, is supplied by a lot of about 6, 7, or 9 companies that supply various meters in the country. And see, all the companies normal supply over meters. And software, a year billing, no for side meters, no, is the computer room or ECG for office, right? Now, 10 year, you be price increase, no. I will say almost updated software billing. No, na transmitted to computer. No, na took meter. The computer no software no update na for the new billing na transmitted to meter na a bill. Yes, starting January no. Some of the companies now I was thinking update no, update no in January. February needs almost started the update. Enti nipa bebree no use old tariffs no in January. Enti mame from me one example me ebi told me thought about 1,000 a week. Yeah, about phone call I can format to also do my condition a problem about an question fee. We pay na if you have yes it almost 1,000 a week. Into a month, 4,000. Into maybe 1,000 a week, me funny say we use old tariffs, the increment, though they said it's 10%. It's really when you look at how much it really ends up, it's about 50%. Right? Though PLC says 10%, okay, can you money now boom more taxes maybe behind about the increment is about 15%. Me funny say maybe 10, maybe 1,000, Last the whole of January now you do 1,000 a week no. Let's say every week no. Me you see old tariffs no. Intimate the ECG for cap 150 Ghana. Into Bosome no end of January no. Now me you see old tariffs no. Intimate the ECG for cap 600 Ghana cities. Into time one February almost year update me pay. Oko talk credit now udi chimwa na ati last month January kana ode no nothing immediately. Since me say me talk credit no almost year update no we talk no Thursday and upano Sunday na because 600 is up. And no ne koma ni pe ya oboton akranka no because omu use January ni nyina no on the old tariffs no. Omu koto 100 cities are na system na afa 100 cities ni nyina because as far as the system is concerned ono the animal no and off
and okay
the patriotic here it do start kota e betia kopem say can be free horo na afi and normalize it so who say start complain because most of the updates now about February no obi oto initially biano any obi account immediately. Then afterwards no you are now paying the new prices. Into me monthly no I could do by 1,002. Which I say that is the reason here that within that period no that glitch no by is the updating of the software. And it was not done in January 1st as it was supposed to be done. It was done in February. And I almost know Oman Boo Biamani, Oman Casting Biada, Oman, you know, it's almost to make but that's the problem.
Okay, so the current situation, you know, no, and I say a bit about say a system failure.
Current situation, Ben, is somebody still having a challenge with their meters where, meter and still like tissue gyms are.
Quite still, I'm not for complaining.
I will complain. They say I have 250%. It's no longer the old one. Because now 200 cities now last 1 week. They say 100 cities now for 1 week.
But I think we should also expect the outcome of minister, no directives, or the man ECG say because one man can says a system failure. One may compensate customers.
No, the what you say last year January. One says me be almost society the report about say the whole of last year almost more than 1.5 billion Ghana cedis for Ghana for which is overpayment. Yes, I know. The mamnu move for my ECG no problem so and they can't become the action but I don't think they are going to do any compensation. No crew na makachero no. Which we are framing your Robson now on anything come up and say minister directive no. But the name say akoto aya jubre into no. Normally no would me on some faster conversation no emba into no majai amana yesan because sanka ya danka ni pe complain say no complain within that 2 weeks in there they would have been forced to come back but you say no akoto obi up with the smoothness level is able to 200 also to 250 or to 300 also to the area 400. The increment has come to hit everybody.
Okay. But you want to pay that as a son, you didn't come on.
Just made as a part. I hope that from time to time, you better.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, Miss Sharper. Good. Higher needs 100.9. Executive Director, Institute of Energy Policies and Research. You're very good. You're for Poku. Only you know, Edin command that capacity. Na ye beside your from go assurances are yenya and the same. To adwuma ye ne so a bit me e dia bre especially say international crisis e be ne so ye so and ye de ho koma ye bi samu sedia etie forward you channel 0201162746 say we meet ano et say entie no sa na ete and I say so what because when chiremu akojo de mind dey na say ade no e wo man effectualize sa increment no enunti ene ekoba ne sa enti say si akwakoba anormalize ne de eze onwu say de abeto bia na say o de sa increment no ka ho but they say atwa anim we akoso At the same ye train minister and so directives no. One mu ye hwehwem na den no mo ho ye.
Eno so hu hia.
So that's here. Yeah, one mu ye hwehwem na den en no mo ho ye.
Because America ya wo mo ka ho asem say wo kwoto ana ya te no. Because a woman being so complaining here no more ka mu ni Africa ye kofi no say na say dia wo kwoto meter was want ya say
kwoto light electricity na ya.
Ana kwoto a wo mo say e ka wo so nti no ya te dada no. Enti onu so bi say e ka ben onu de so onu wo mo ka te say de owura akwadwonsafo a chechire mu no. Oh, sometimes say was a muchire consumers no. Say be a say ni say nebe activity and na kwa na abusumi we woto akadada no bete ya nte hwe nti bebre na complain say bibisa so eye no kra obi a no de ka wo so ana say na sitie ni yetimi ehu ebi mu nso so omo de ka ebi mu kra say omo toma ne broye na so ye pene yate wo nti eno so so nti ehu behia say ye betwe minister na hwehwe mu no a omo de bebre no na ja ye nso yetimi anya nti ase ewo ekwan a ye kwoto kanea no esi ehaye said the be asundwe beba.
Yeah. Okay. From our dear Jennifer 0201162746. I go say akwanim.
Abusiafo yemfa Chronicle the Bokrata no ena ode nene Abraham Kabu akuokon awotoso emiensa wono eye ada omahene ena nimfonyini ewase a wa hye na tare fe a wo sere nye bete kra na ho ayefe na Chronicle the Bokrata no ena obo amane no se omahene ya wono ewo ada no atrankunwa ena o se Langarden sem no a atietisi ewo adan no atakonwa no wo mu ebeye hwehwemu e de afasa ansase ho Langarden sem no na ehon sem so ewo hase a Chronicle the Bokrata do e de ho amanebo abam abusiafo the Chronicle the Bokrata no ani ho se e na odo osoafo obedi echi a wo hwe yensase ene obo ade ne pa wode adomye onumanyamfo Yusuf Suleiman na fo nyine aba ya waji ni fugu kama pa nyebete na wo share the Chronicle animu ase wo bo ama no se aban no ede niam egu akom sede be ya yensase aban sase obetimi aboho ban ti wo de reforms bi aba sede be ebetimi abusi revenue ho nsem so e wa ase the Chronicle the Bokrata no e bo ho amane e wo hase abusiafo Chronicle the Bokrata no animu ase ya na obo amane e na wo se US womo strike ya womo ede ko Nigeria so no womo si efri Ghana enti womo se sede ba ya US etimi ko bowra Nigeria ho na womo timi ene wo adehye ni mu bi a womo wo ho no o share strike ya womo de ko ya na se weapon ya womo to free womo to de ko ho no womo si efri Ghana mkuma ne se womo pese womo penchire mu and saying ena bomo se eniema no
Moses they were foreign affairs minister or called Chatham platform no so no UK ena no ka se brunya ne mo no on se atorenche beto Nigeria to atidomu enti womo to nsa frɛ Ghana ni US yembebo awo ena ka se Ghana for kan ho call ena US for so e call ye na no ena dom kuma na chese na BBC ko so na wa ma mebo amane ye on fa briefing na ama wa kan sa na nya nsunsu anso bi wa yeso because you atu dom fui be hu se na Ghana ye kan hu bi na chese Nigeria for eti wo mo so atua no zone say this so that has been the angle a man for Kadifa
na Chronicle the Bokrata anso so ena no pay wo de ho amanebo aba abusiafo the Chronicle the Bokrata no ani mwase ena ode dom kuma ba no de ni onumonyamfo Alexander Fenyoma ke wodemfo nyini aba ena wo ka se aban no se woni sika ya wo de betua akuafo ka na nso aban na nya sika se wo kwa akoto jet enti ehon nsem so e wo ase a dom kuma na se won ti ase kra kwan aban no de akuafo efa so no womobo enyo so nti aban no hwe na onye hu bibi se sika ni wodi a na chese sika ni wo na wo se sika ni wo na obenya sika e de akwakoto jet na akuafo a wodi wo muka wuntimi enkotua wo muka de a na wo mo bo so enye so ni nyina ne se wo se kokwa akuafo ya atose aban no de wo mo ka beye bosome nan ade akire omo de wo mo koko ama aban ehwe anim se wo mo ebenya sika no mo de ahwe wo mo ene wo mo busua ya se bepem ne sika no yesi sika no aba na so akuafo no so se yentwa wo mo ekaye nti ho nsem so wo hase no ena onomonyamfo Alexander Fenyoma ke echirem se aban no yesre wada usi sika ni wa sika ni ho ade na wonya bi koto jet na de wo se odima kokko akuafo wo mo mpo de enye se bia wo mo aye bibi mpo wo mo asika na hye woto ena fa mo wo mo akoya atwetan ya Chronicle the Democrat nso na de ho amanebo aba abusia for Chronicle the Democrat no ena quotation de baaye no ne amansancha me eni ho ntimi ana mekan di amamo was say Deuteronomy chapter 13 verse 14 was say then you shall investigate and search out and inquire thoroughly or say if it is true and the matter established that this abomination has been done among you entino and the Chronicle quotation or the buy enonom abusia for daily guide Democrat adom and a war barman him now was say Ghana and Korea and woman akọ emudu woman sa shent asia pam ase na said ye be betimi aboa ama edwedi e we ntemu emposi obi fi Ghana ha ekọ Korea na obi fi Korea ba we South Korea na wo ba wan kronkro Ghana se betimi aboa eno ana guide Democrat aboa amane nsem omampanyin John Dramani Mahama timi aboa ama visa waiver aba ama Ghana for ya wo mbe free ha ko South Korea no ehon sem so wo hase a daily guide Democrat de ho amanebo aba abusuafo guide Democrat no anim ha say na wo de onmunyafo Samuel Abugina Paul no fo nyina ba ya wo no addressing centrofo eno na wo se dom kuma no stella wo se wo monte ase eno no be kasa ka think fa ekwan ya fa so a se wo mo ewo no di Nigeria ho ya wo se wo mo ha Nigeria fo no wo strike na ye de call wo so no wo se free Ghana ha senti wo mra na wo mo enchire bomo na wo monte ase ya guide Democrat so na de ho amanebo aba abusuafo daily guide Democrat aro na obo amane se Iran tokwa no ha adwen o se de ntokwa yi asi eye nofo sa na wo mo si fa wo mo drone attack bi a wo mo di bepie mu awo Dubai no wo mo si enam so magana fo mienu aprapra ya guide Democrat nso de ho amanebo aba na busuafo guide Democrat ano ana obo amane na wo se wode wonunyamfo Muhammad Muntaka Mubarak mfo nyini aba ha se ye na wo se Ghana for over 500,000 youth na wo mo apply say wo mo ebeko security adwuma no emu enye bete kura ye se wo mo nyina nso kura paase na so hwe aban no kapa no a aban no so kapa no so ye kitua bi nti sisi eno so hunsem e wa ase ya ye daily guide Democrat nso so de ho amanebo aba ene anope.
Okay, ma yankwa na asana no fa Ghanaian Times. Who say Ghanaian Times anim ho no? Ministry of Lands for story bibo ho. So Lands Ministry begins national digitalization of public lands. Eno kwa nya de tie say womo be publish womo a woma akwai aban ensase. Woma toto aban ensase.
Okay.
Mahmoud Kabore kasa de Lands and Natural Resources Minister. Mahmoud Kabore, mache.
Ebru.
Now, what to say?
I don't want pieball. I hear you suka when you suka kaka.
Yeah, then Yanko say. Great. Na yebisa say Lands and Natural Resources Minister boss Dani. Publication of names wama to abain sase. No your publish here na ayede.
But Jerry, I mean, that was no pay no apart from you and I'm here what you for on the brain that they need to my dream. Mamma, who was Tika over Kaya Abra, a 2 baby, na a ton in near my coso. Mamma, Penny Mamma, the cast, young far central ban. And to steals of all public lands and these processes. And until the CEO you are minister, Ayo star.
na ɔsan hyɛ sɛ yɛmpɛ baaso kuo bi a all sales of public lands from 2017 to end of year 2024 yɛnyɛ mu nhwehwɛmu deɛ pɛsɛ mu nika no review ne ɔkasa yɛ baaso kuo no awie wɔn adwuma a wɔn de wɔn ani sɔde ho anaasɛ recommendation akwankyerɛ wɔ ho akɔto cabinet anim a ne ɔkasa cabinet de nhyira ma wɔn sɛ we should proceed to the implementation of those recommendations. Now, the recommendations, and on the 16th of February, Minister Bebo Hon Amania Kakra Ghana for. The no as we know, an update as far as the implementation of those recommendations is of concern. Now, Oshe public land leases transaction applications bɛyɛ mpem wɔtwe ne akyire a committee kɔdosodoso yɛ no dodoɔ no ara na ɔmo application no ankɔ through anaasɛ ɔmo anwie nti committee no recommend ma cabinet a cabinet agye to say all land application which didn't have a completion na nipa koro no anya land title no it should be deemed revoked. As it is said, wa auto aban asase a o se process of nya nkrata ho 1 week no that asase ni na tin ton time e twemu a ye asase no san de ama omwan no wɔn a etimi wie wɔn asase ho nkrata asɛm a wɔn anya title no yes that saa applications not to value for money and process audit on case by case basis. Says no so you may be Muslim. I who say, as no one turn was him. Send our turn no. Na Sabia crowd turn no, there will be pass as I told her. Said the turn no, and as a saying it here. In recommendations are coming to you at the buyer. And I see and the telephone. Now you're more amanable as far as the status here the recommendation of a welcome. Recommendation are any kind. Say one more applications and go through the CR book woman no. I was here why assassin I revoke why then I ever subjected to process audit. And first of all, there's a need for us to publish all applications are subject to some of these verification and audit. Ebi ankra ebi enumaku enti say be ya transparency be conscious and eduma ye no. Ehun be here say de ni na betom one thing. Minister ka said na me aduma na o tie dey no. You will publish all those lists on our website. Ghana Libya open the chrono perfect me no. Over to me akona waka akɔhwɛ na wɔhunu deɛ nti a na motu a yɛtu. Let us see, public lands application form. If you want said, KFZ Mantam Lucy and Wagarahano, Mantam Bia on Form 5, the kind of public lands application form. And in collaboration, Ministry of Lands in collaboration with the Lands Commission, a senior review standardized form one. And not the Enko Basa Pais, the Enko Napa was the Enko. Throughout the nation, as far as public lands is of concern, we all rely on one Form 5, a Belguama transparency, traceability, and value for money again. Yes, accumulate account. Now, when you say a baby, I would them, and I say, who from a room, and I say, patent do no. Who here, Nipa, Besha, Mrano Bayajuma, and don't on Minister Jina Act 1036 and also and the year Public Land Protection Task Force. Where the Langado, where Mramu Nipa Abajoku Mrama Hukmaya, and they implemented all these reforms. Now, as I was a man says, I can yet me a bomberman. If one of the members of that task force, a representative from here, so a Ministry of Lands, a representative from Lands Commission, a representative from Ministry of Works, Housing and Water Resources, representative from all security agencies. And I say, I'm going to be a TFIA, the first of war and start to the titular of my son, almost about cooking be here the at every regional level, we have this task force. Every boy, my boy, and my stars at home by. And yet, Samuel, Obi no Obi can na ordinary be got to abonte. If you more course, a quantity bar, and the crime of us are quantity, you didn't go a and a star publication because so. Now, the back way, dear human run, you would have seen and said, I want to win in I back. Now, by our them ban the two public lands or so. I feel you have a collective man. My very, there be a son, there be a control, penny, send me a canino. Canadian Nigeria. A start to say we are namely go, and in name of the and the mamma penny, so the amendment. Cardian from ban and to steal some public lands. Now, send is a contributing enough to now they say a pub who have my bombing value for money, a bit me a bombing transparency, a bit me a bombing a cassia tomb of my Ghana, Savia. Mamma, a typical example. I then say, as I say, I buy a size, no. So we pursue a car. Yes, starting from 0.5 to 30% of market value. Then the penny no upfront, not 70% in the spreading. Nemu bi koto ankran size was out the annual. That's the same minimum. And I see he says the same through upfront payment should be 70% of market value, not 30% in our cano. You spread the amount based on your ground rent period. Yeah, the amount. We use a waiver boam or mino, Anya, for so PF in the South. Another example, say, Magere, who are put us as a cantonment. Who got on 1 million Ghana cedis, in fact, who now means to make a pass as that to a cantonment. But the of the fact that the bad politician didn't it. They are talking about 100,000 Ghana cedis. Hey, you see, it's the standardized market value valuation. That yes, say, estate biya ni ne bi estate biya ne bono. And so will be estate krono obi to asase 2 cedi, no obi got on 20 cedis. Or yes, value a standardized price. I buy the Quabrane Coton 1 crown. That one in just that the difference is that we'll be 70%. Now the can spread them out on your ground. With the Guama, okay, Sabi, we could work on one about a fukra. Now to say at one my here, we say, ya Antonio particular so, we are trying to come password, a home fast one so become will be a wubia. To wait a new system, now sounds a book where I buy you. I just I buy between here now, lift the bank. Now, Obibia pet, I buy as I'm crank. Never for despite stay me up our buy here. I pay quite what to me. With me about the right channel and the right process. Now what me up by here. And go back there, a continue to be a could do what for boom. Now, I shall last commission to say, let's see, ban ya minister, to is one lefty. Any public land sale and not transaction application here local Sudiano must conform with the new reforms in our manner. The moment you find that na Iraqano. Then I need a hotoso, the Canadian and we the papa, a big Guama, Enya, Faswa Flow, Magana, Stance, and the food.
It is a minimum for near for Betiasia. And yes, sir. Obi entimi nkoto abansa asebie bi na emom kwantene na obefa so no na nsakra ya bemu a obeto no kwanpapa so sa na tie
pepe magere in fact even omo amedika ka say omo wi omo application na ya je omo sa se nyina afro omo se mo sa de ama aban no womo e won pepa so omo nya asase kro no a de ye omo dwuma di a emre na kwan ho se on besan apply bi na fi o ma fa kwantene ne no so na ultimate complete process na wanya bi dia ko di dwuma dia wo die aban sa se die sebe benize ye makrama na o ma bank nipa den ya nipa ankra be hi aban sa se den ya dwuma ku akodo be hi aban sa se Nemu kwanya na mbre atwamu ye faso de abansa asem nipa bi ebi faso de tumi omo tumi efumu abansa asem eno na ye twamu ina afa kwantino no so no mining na de so so but mamen ka quickly say o share even mampani code of ethics on the man na powerful na so afo ne na bo afo no a aban penny bi any was on top state land. It is as if we so about recommendation the can say we are ban pinia only want to me say abaya as the we don't move up for when you know boy say obi using a privileged position as government official and bank with him residence and for the young mind no and conquer the the way I want to so so it is a man penny mama boss be out say women penti my bro no I didn't boss so
all right. Na yansan bisa we your publication no be between years ben
there's already a report that captures 2012 to 2016. And also our report no more recommendations based on Nyama Pai a bit in here. Na yes, abidance as a tone, but that recommendation was never implemented. It is a report to Sada Hodia. Now, the can say another audit from 2017 to end of year 2024, or if you like, from January 2017 to January 2025. Now, how was period with so na yemfa recommendation be free mobile yemfa recommendation free 20 from 2016 the yen can boom na fe yen pay anon for massive and no more human there the plan America said here the current review span between 2017 and 2024 end of year.
Okay. And still I know you na me yama maybe so e ba me na man tiasia said the essence but ayenti aye publish so nipa ne behu say ono na wetima completing the processes we wie krata asem na so onwie ya na said yen
publication no is say you can say ya revoke Nigeria asase bien na ya dance bien say ya defensive ya the year adwuma no beyond fact that Nigeria no say this man has been revoked no adansi bi ebe na say ne was here revoke asase no krata nti ese ye kukuo mu ade dumadi bi a wudi ama o man no was o ma fenti ni edi wenum kan. So in the spirit of transparency, you publish how much you paid. Na obia kura who say na majere I say na go to cantonment as I say 100,000 Ghana cedis. And na go to cantonment as I say 20,000 Ghana cedis. And one man to my who say enya time bi ni time majere ntina ye wo kusa grata nemum ebia undervaluation man nti and you say our man no value for money. It's possible say everything grant from Pennyful and say out of about 8,000 applications, maybe you be able to actually letters that from man. But once you make that public on the website, it gives Ghana and India a guarantee say also bet me up was I say come on ye the who come and answer won't come. So the way or being say let me and I the patapa who to me cover from the Buama or more almost involved no who fail. No one am to be also a too. The way the publication is just in the spirit of transparency. Yeah, young young thoughts are to be who no play woman woman so come ye the form maybe I doing to elect and come 8,000 people no almost when they make a home and that's them in count. So it's just in the spirit of transparency.
Okay. Na ensasi hunsem kaye said ya woken so bi akoto asase wo baby 20,000 da nipa na de ne pekoto ye ana se process na emani tua se sika ne sa akono yahwe because obeti ya na yetete na aban card metro mass die ba ye na metro mass kura obi akoto 1,000 cedis and obi akwa ni say say metro ma de ama auctioneer na one more value na obi aba no abeto ne saa nipa ne de ne mfum so na ne sen.
I don't think you're saying for Sano, the one way who processor, you're subjected to value for money and process audit. You found on the automao, and even if a honkran or a mummy, uncle money a day, why not tomao? Other now toy, but we are toy, and why would you dance say, as I say, Sano, no born, and I never born no. Only if a chrono track a bend and done with Montia, as I say, and KB, no boy up him, Yadema will do. It goes through an audit. Young prayer home and buntantia. The mummy be a quenya for processor. A day by yes, you nothing but be a suicide body of no good dano. In reality, who wants to say, and your time, the moment I think him here, and no man on you, and as I said, go through. If that audit will involve who bought it and who sold it, and why did you sell it at that price? Why did you also buy it at that price? What is your relationship with the person? Some potential who told us who idea of how much land costs in that area. In idea because through the value for money and process auditor, as far as those processes are concerned.
It's not likely say be 2 years can be account so 1 ton said yes a ton na.
Worst case scenario over for starting process no. As I said, Barbara Cracker said you may see me a katia. Once we go through the process,
meaning you are going to pay the real value or you are going to pay the real value of us.
Go through the right process. Now for value view of what we are attached to the right process now, then you pay that value.
Does it mean say must sign a value sa properties and a buying SaaS and na?
Yes, and then I make say standardization of value, market value. It's a cantonment here. Your value cantonment is based on the prevailing market prices. If you have failed to become now I go for no value. Now the value are not based on discretion. As I say, even though cantonment as I say roughly, be a 1 million Ghana cedis, but say 10,000 because of no. We have standardized market value. Even on period basis, we will revise it. Based on prevailing economic conditions, as a sustainable cost, I will revise it. As a sustainable buffer, I will revise it on periodic basis. The era of say, you have a ton of bias and CD. This is a minimum majority. My said I have performance request of value of Biama. Now, a bias and say that is legal. Undervalue near a ton because my content is becoming a thing of the past. Now we have standardized valuation for all estates, especially in Accra, estate, and we give you 70% of that market value. Not the account, they are spread the amount to the big account.
Okay. Na Kabari, say yesha a year silence in some kaya. And I told the beer, yenim said the amano some of the moon some next year. Inti ye bisakra said na adenti kra na je say ba asase na je say yeton. That chi be aban into me fan ye bibi. En sase no ye wo de aya aban de wo ho. Ye wo de da won so anya aban de. Inti no kra no aden na je say yeton. Ana sa na Ghana fu binom wo madwen ye omusa. Na ba asase de adenti kra na say yeton. Edema agran kra bi. Said yen.
Also, on my new and I can say the engine of growth is the private sector. Private sector no could be and crank. And say me papa despite baby I was Yamiashla na dream. Now okay as I see the asa at trend and crabber time Yamia Pida Nika from our could do the BBC of our time. Near per se a being on crabber tamua. A bianca okay and crank Sibia. This all cook to do market viability anyhow. But if you are not banned so as I see that a cruising in Babia, and then it's like your own funny BBI, the man crank no, or waiting their business, a bit being human, na de mfaso de abro man no bebre enti see ye to asase ama ankura de ya na enye bone sa but when ya na manofo faso na based on your privileged position obi feel so the minister bi obi feel so your minister no akasa obi feel so lands commission na ye hutira manfo kawafo babati kuna bi de ya ban de ya ne to ne wia fum no kwambone so no eno na ye how kase na nyesa nkanyame esra magje na opese obi ebia factory kuma bi na aban wa asase ebi asakomo no aban wa asase ebi atema ibitimi ato bi ama magere amani de bisa factory no afa organa mabuno dwuma mu a nyi lizenke ye bone nanso ya manofo kuro ya ana mfanse ya invade sa opportunity no nti akwankyere we ya aba no de the buama the intended purpose ntia yes no be betini ato aba asase ama obi no indeed then realizing that aim, then realizing that dream. Now the era of step will be a job or so will be a far will be it becomes a thing of the past.
Enti weni yenhyehyeye a ebetimi arane through ede yebekọ se daachi bi enkoba se abansesa aba yebenya nhyehyeye foforo abansa asese na tie ede sa na kwakwa ye
So far, OSHA reforms are also, for instance, on 5 by standardizing and this will be a durable to know one of the officer Bokrono. No, the India is saying I was standard form, no, we are developing the form woman to woman. In the spirit of transparency, we expect that by from your banner also to us now. Oh, yes, I say, the evaluation of standardized estate. Now, your trouble was said. Obi an insisted with the boy that's with me. Now, by the say, any system through. Now, Obi uncle fan value a matter of my way. No one made the German price. No, you say, in the spirit of transparency, I buy our perfect no, or bar, or continue to do what we are doing. Now, I'm one by any and pass from. CSA, open by buying here. Upfront payment should be 70% and not 0.5 to 30% to the net,
Okay.
Now, aban bi aba na so we hear through us at the acquired them one. And so on normal. If you aban bi that is about normal no be. You tell you say o ba ma ko fi gwa di gwa kwa mo. Yes, she say pa ba boa ama ye ntiri ba kwa be di so possible ho say. Aban Ghana aban asa so die. Ye ton a ne ye ton no say o man ni na benya mfa so pa firi mu. Na mu ye ko ye no sama no 70 na ye twa ye ne ntwantia na ye na for them in a booster so we are turning the interest of the state.
Na enipa bi nso anticipate say bra eye o boss lands natural resources minister honorable Amakofi Buade tabono no to so no na ye nipa bi adwen say ye be cheche nkrofo do makogina amrana no ba dem say we dey ya antene sa.
Oh, as I think this is we are for in as much as I wait me as to it's all about recovering what didn't go through the right way and before we fight. Now share 8,000 plus public lands applications. Yeah, I'm go through known as also. That has been revoked. That alone is the biggest news that Ghanaians rejoice over it.
Okay.
Let's say minister, but you're scared, you are. The cars here, but you are more mind the piano, but you know, my gun, 2 million brasso. Now, the idea. And he said, oh, yeah, and so the answer can you sound back here. Your company man or me, the man here and that can you sound here. That's I did the amount of mine. I don't think really the interest is not even about wine at all. And I see 1 year, it's a good. Where there is a big prosecution, there will be prosecution.
Okay. Mahmoud.
If you demand say, if you be good number to branding idea. To do that as a stand Our major interest is reclaiming what didn't go through the right process according to Media when it's supposed to be or mining in Adia.
When you say maybe some way because I say oral buy and yet it is say and yes you can dear pe one month so afa kwambone so atoto to aban say then you know wo oral anymore and it na dem bi sasa no
Operation recover all loot. And you see it will recover and say and then say oral is not dead. Oral is working.
Okay, it's digitalization that just say no na wo chire mo kono.
Oh, digitalization also a new system. I know the public lands the total land governance of our country.
Okay.
Magere, or he be an abusapini be as a what Tom and the Baby and watching.
Obiazu kra land title.
Obiazu kita back code the land title. Kwa ben ye be fast was as is any be ye through. Obi at the lands commission. Why you be kona sa ma na sa se kura ho grata ye basa.
Se kura ma pa ba.
Oh, wow.
Ai.
Obi so the lands commission no so de wa fa buro nya ho no we crackers. Enti o fakakra wani ba on so no. Na sika ya jije o kura change sika to pass aso no. Minister believe say the only way to reduce human interface and limit some of these excesses is the introduction of technology. And on the cabinet akasa, any finance minister akasa no matter CSF. IGM for Inyano Lands Commission and Casibia, 67% of the IGM eco consolidated account to the mono. Cabinet in the finance minister TSM say 100% retention. It's a Lands Commission IGM in IM for being called finance ministry. 67% not here they call a school accountable. Now, one year, the embargo on the major digitalization agenda for the Lands Commission. And that one, Mamazero, because once I see you, the accountment. Now, who could do as I so by just looking at the coordinates and clicking a button, you should be able to know whether that's as near Tom and know if I come for an Asian toy. And that one, as I say, I have to more damino. Obinza na damino got on my make a board review. That's what I say. About one must 2 lands. A conya way in the Masasi, I know she in it. No one here, Twabo Banana of Papa on a Nadia Jozo. Let Twabo Bano for 2 seniors who buy a woody Apobo Padria. And the near shady be say, a conya crew and your topa. That digitalization now the Buama. You pick real time coordinates here, the digital boundaries are. You just taking your phone or your laptop. To be able to know one anonymous this year, and crew 18 copy million. We pay because of forces will be the 2 million started. And somewhere back, there was some of our officers in the Lands Commission, especially Accra, based on Niambi also in the last 8 years, to shock you. But the only way we can achieve this journey is to make sure that we digitalize the land system and governance. So that we limit the human interface, give citizens easy way of having access to certain services. Na abuama the katasisi because the tina bontene edokura etinye year through afei nipa bi ede nyasa kwanzo tons azaba ko nipa bebre no ni nyina na etinye yi ni nyina so afro afei busua na busua bi amanso kuro bi antokwa no ni nyina ye through no Omama yemfimi no tie fese tie me no edi ani die ebitim de Africa no atimi awie that digitalization agenda na abuama ye land administration and governance no afara to mabra enye sa digitalization no kwa na edi sika ye say ya aba ni so dem no ba ko friend the land bank say e beko na nanom ho group mamu na ya ji asase tada for agricultural purposes na ye tua ho ka na aya wa mine dia it is will be ban of so ya agric magere so ya agricultural activity we grow with the from place na ohine bi kra no twamena boa ubetumi aba assembly a balance commission say na abai land bank se wo no ya ma obi je yekuya nti do afso di dia obi a western just wa kona da so ya abai ni we nyina say ya dey Africa no ye And it's a very important step towards making our land governance and administration very effective, transparent. And we should trust on Emmanuel Amakufibwa. Now, young one, Chidom, said, that is why no way or achieve 100% success and then Ghana after my boyfriend.
Okay. Anope Yadan say I am Mahmoud Kabore, spokesperson of Lands and Natural Resources. Na eye latter party digitalization idea Montrenka Huasem. Because an edding, Opesa register was say Winsem Bassa. Will be out to answer, will be asked to land title. Land title in so, one generative free as we ever when you see then, and as I see the Pamiensa, will be asked Ukra title. Yes, see the Bayer Juma ye dear. Nanke ye pa. Mahmoud. Anna, what's your minister, Honorable Amakofi Buamame?
No any country, I mean, you say I'm a doom. Or bedroom, or bedroom, but I'm money.
Martin, bedanse pa, I'm sure. Many a Kasama for the Lands and Natural Resources Minister, a friend of Mahmoud Kabore. The boss, Honorable Amakofi Bua. Honorable Minister Nakasenra, Honorable Suleiman, and then the Deputy Minister, Normally Sanchi Shane, one with the goo upon us where the Mayan. Need 100.9 or Chunaba Pound Semano Edu Enum Ghana Montie as you know.
Ghana Montie, Ghana Montie, Ghana Montie, Ghana Montie. What's cool, fresh and trendy with a new look? Makes you feel real good, that refreshing vibe. Satisfies you right just the way you like. Do you know? Do you know? Do you know? Ain't gotta do it alone. Specialized makes you flow. Anytime, anywhere. Specialized feel different. Always think specialized. Special Ice Natural Mineral Water. Feel different. Think special. This advertisement has been vetted and approved by the FDA.
Hey, catch it. Listen in here. And you ma beto to dia me baba no hwade no. Hwem so betumi a. Hey, asew. Hey, now beka. Ya John to mami ensa duku portmanteau. This way chocolate drink. Na kan wo hwe afibian so beri ni waware ne a. This way chocolate drink. Na kan sia. Oh, asew. Udan klanu tumu ho. Me be mo anu so hye kura de aka ho. Uhade e wapi ho. Ukasa batete. Eda fom ho. This way chocolate drink.
Catch up a baba wari.
Asew.
Ye fi say this way chocolate drink. Sorry, no pa no ne nom. Ye be sha fridge nom no se snack. Ye nya hoho a no ne de serve wo mo. Ye didi wie ne ye pe bibia bogu ya de so a. This way chocolate drink ne ye nom. And this way no ti anu a, he se kire wom, koko wom, brick wom, bibia wom, ade wo hia ni so se.
This way chocolate drink.
De wo hia ani so se.
FDA ahwehwe se adwede nkratoe mo agye atum se eye.
Sante GRA Diana Kaho, Cocoa board, Equanase, gold board, Equanase.
Now, honor the can, one of the two can.
Minimum says, GRA to Mano.
We can when I can. The woman is say, a baby aba or one strategies or the year.
No problem.
It's a yacht to force and then a pet and the cocoa board.
No problem.
GRA dear better than our finance ministry.
No problem.
That's all. Gold board and so no president in this one who know the aquasha.
No problem. No problem. No problem.
No
problem. No problem. No problem. No problem. No problem. No problem. No problem, no problem, no problem, no problem, no problem.
That's all. Where's it?
But
that's all. Yamu akwa about the bani 100.9. Now masacha me kwa mama for 10 and kakra. And oh, then idea. All right. Yankwa anymore. Mame akosuya eto number waha. Now me can say I do try the befa 0201162746 0201162746. Na yedin komo. Ebekin kind near the amount. Says social reforms are aben di abafa aban sase ho. Ene yen sase ho nsamankasa ye be digitalize enkoba se o obi be sori aton asase mani pa miensa. Na waji wusika die. Na wote onpenkwa na wonam na wo kontokwa wasase ya wo watu asika ma obi yedi. Eho. Eno kwa na menti ase. Wakwa koto asase watu asika kwa komesi. Okoya obi wasase ne so. Anya no so kwakwaji usika. Ada na wo so kwakwaku wasase no de ya na wasase no wa wo so kwakwaku won yakunipa. Iti senchichi a lands and natural resources aso ye send it to my 02011627746. Akoso atona.
Jerry.
Orokodo ho.
Oh, me jina me na so pa.
No fee stressy. One will say, Ocean Daily Graphic, page 28. Oh,
I'm a whoop.
What's this say?
Now, Ocean Daily a graphic, the Bocrat and in film page 28. Now, was say a year student loan trust fund, no, way a year adia, a buy no Eshemukin and Titru Emma Public Tertiary Institution, until or more Edinema Egua Kwamu say. Womo sanso abo institution nkaye mecha universities no nkaye ese obia nhwese wode ne data beba womo si hwe be 20th March de 2026 no obia upload student na womo eye beneficiaries ya womo ebenya student loan trust fund no womo benya ho mfaso no atimi akọ womo airport no so na womo si wei ehwehwe ya aye student loan trust fund edigu akwam se de be a student bia was se wonya emfaso firi mu no ne nsa betimi aka na wo hwe de obokrata na mane no a wo bodo wo se wo mu anya nentiye e na wo mahu se admissions ahodo akoso no aye 160,735 student ne mom no wo mu a wo matimi validate wo mu admission no wo portal no so no ye 134,543 enti wo mu hwe anim se eye institution ahodo universities ahodo nye na nkaye no aka no wo mu emfangu se de be ya adisuani bia ebenya eho emfaso na nkoye te se ebi mu anya bibi mu anya bi enti bi mu anya bi dia na esuapon bi data wo mantimi amfa ma mrepamu ana se time wo so mo de ba no eno na o mama sa ha wo nyina ti abanti we ye deadline a ye de ma institution titu university ni se obia emfa ne data emra.
Okay, kwajo dankwa emiami ni aprekope is why big man deputy CEO student loan trust fund kwajo memo ache
many am Jerry me also.
Ebo mu te say
Oh, Mark, there were about Papa Bay na Uragon Zamani Mahama. Sabe, Ubu my ya following. Like I said, Apumu Bay, Yapumu dear,
all right. Na no fee stress. Your boss ya ma ben mo share ye. Mobile ye said the modi ye adwuma no et saying ayana applications students are one qualify says a woman yabi level 100 titru. Send applications na ne kofa.
Mark, mane na minchi for an open. And okay, say emra ya bonto na ya kachira Ghana for say omuntu aba emfama ura John Dramani Mahama no. Ya Ghana for an oba e show bo say a pine bedemu na wampani John Dramani Mahama ebe Ghana mampani ya de bibia ya friend no fee stress ebeba intirimu ne se ura John Dramani Mahama se sɛ woma yɛ mmɔfra yi kwan na ɔmɔkɔ secondary school free na sɛ ɔmu wie secondary school na wɔpaase secondary school na mpo no wɔnya admission ɛde ɛkɔ university na admission a wɔanya no sɛ wɔntumi antua admission fee ɛwura university a na ɛno no sɛbe wɔne mmɔfra no anya ne yie ɛno nti wɔka sɛ yɛbɛfa akwanyansa biara so a yɛn nuanom nkuma a ɛwie secondary school pɛ sɛ wɔkɔ university na bibi nti wɔanya ho kwan na wɔntumi ntua ɛyɛ admission fee no yɛbɛma wɔn ho kwan no wɔatumi akɔ ɛyɛ first year no a there will not be any stress associated with entering the university for the first year. Ɛno ɛna yɛde ɛyɛ the no fee stress ɛbɛbɔ adwa yɛhwɛ sɛ yɛn nuanom nkumaa no nso wɔ benefit from. Na ma mmerɛ a owura Dɔndɔnmani Mahama bɛfa Ghana bɛnya as the President of the Republic of Ghana. This was 7th of January 2025. Na mmerɛ a yɛbaeɛ no na yɛn nuanom nkumaa awie secondary school a ɛkɔ university no na they have already been admitted the previous year 2024 no most school koraa no ɛdeda na mmom na wɔn nso wɔ first year owura Dɔndɔnmani Mahama ka sɛ ɛmfa ho no sɛ ɔbaeɛ no na yɛn nua nkumaa no wɔ university deda na mmom ɔno bɔhyɛ a wɔhyɛɛ no no sɛ every first year will benefit from the no fee stress. If you say what level 100, then they have to benefit from the no fee stress. It's a no fee. You be a porter, or the student loan trust funder. Your man who quiet say, you know, apply for the no fee stress. Now, some year, you say, man, your man, the last year, your mom apply to the no the student loan trust fund. Apply, you know. And your man, school should also find and upload the list of admitted students in their school onto our portal. It's important to tell you, man, and I say, school for apply to the president, school should also the year admission list by a portal. So it's a synchronize it. Now I check it. I get the details in the school from the man. As along the details that a year school dan kasa so do e amano na validate it over last year you validated more than 150,000 a year students no fee stress emo musika rare a year investment and as a refund day o musika o mo tua da no e de year de ma na eno ana afi ye hwe ni say a school for the one will benefit from the no fees stress. And we see Yamaha Point said last year the year was a pilot implementation. It's a baby a thought baby uncle baby a year Anna Yarevai say a year system no try say Kumano as many as possible. One more apply no one more have it's and then say your schools a whole time. The schools upload the data of a young student. Upload the after students onto our portal using their Ghana card. Now validating your school no idea upload. If you don't know, and yes, by apply, then school no upload the students then they go and validate to say I make a down the Ghana card. Number na be the shame we are my verification no your verification in the amount what the school has provided that you details number then you capture so that you would have been validated so send me a year you be to the amount then abia ba ko say say most of the schools share me say one more uploading list uploading and kakra I upload all the lists at a go. And when she says, I find that students make me for so. Make a portal so they try to validate me home so I need. So I need the other university who are working school them far. I get data on your day and then again, Mama told your platform. It is a student, who they tell you what there is no way you can be validated. And when she Anna, a year the chief executive officer, a year doctor, right, a year right, a year and answer the we issue statement. What should I say? Yeah, man who from a net and answer the no issue statement, you know. Echo 20th of March. The schools are a year public tertiary institutions in Ghana. One by uploading a list of the
Hello, Kwajo. Oh, David. I want to get it. Sound friendly, be quick. Yene a deputy chief executive officer at the Students Loan Trust Fund. Your friend Kwajo Dankwa. Ono na yene ne di nkomo ye fa no fee stress. Enra obi frame say ne ba e level 200. Ba ku etwa mu no. Wo mo ye so be refund am no ba do man refund sika no ama no. So asa den ra on make asa no. Itini nyina na egusu a ye hwe na ye de ho nkomo. Ya Kwajo.
What's it?
Afia na meton kan ye tio ya.
Okay. Eti me na me come me ni baby am do ye can say ye. But me na me tio makodu no say. Ye hwe ni mu say I was there university no I uploaded the list of the students no onto our platform. Say ne be ma ho kwa students no by a platform no so it will be easier for them to be validated by the list university no at the aba and as uploaded their mind. If you about what say universities up until 20th of March this month, you know, I will say university BR. It me upload the list of a year first year a war of university. Then you about my Indian want to me other validity one on our system. And the Indian also up until 30th of a year April. So almost to me about other validate after the universities have uploaded a year list. Now share a year release the note. A year more Dr. Sajida Shirak a release the note. Now can you understand? A year the student loan trust fund as of now. Yeah, data from the universities, you know, a 160,735 a year students from the university. And out of 160,000, 134,543 of the students have a system, so have a validation of home. I actually say, don't want to answer the cost of Abba, no matter validation of home. Na abwa ama appeal so, a no fee stress car, Yadema Uniano, or Monster, edutumi aka.
Okay. Kwajo na emiri bi etwa mu won medi kan kotu ya ye. Na ekoba say mo be refund e di amount no mo yes are refunds no.
Mark, the UTR, and now I start here no. That was where I began from. Yen yanu kumano one more equal to your school fees and some part of the money Mahama ever done about a Benaso. Your more time or more apply and a little above 150,000 a year student. The no fee stress and a cover one more. Your ma won't be na a year fund. And ma won't to Umsika or Mutia no one massacre a year cano. Those are people that Mark. Your refund Umsika and the mouth.
Because Henry parent to be frame send the bar level 200. Na till date no then some kind of refund seek out ya.
Okay, Mark. I am correct. Say there are some students, they may not, just a handful of them, who may not have received a refund. And there was a genuine reason why here ABOB are receiving a refund. No question, I say, Mark, you're not any. Or my muha, now they have their national service. They think of what the ghost names are positioned. And I answer the market in the FIA. Yeah, system, say it is robust enough. Since the overall system, that's the information also provided, one provided accurate information. The system will not validate you. So, for instance, one more to be a new music cannot do a system. data university they are my say Majeri who could student ID number 102. Nipa no so buy also student ID number 152. Mark, the system will reject you.
Okay.
Ebio Majeri who buy and also a flow a year Jerry Mark. Our system name. University in Sunday study by NSA. Nipa no yafrano Majeri ya agyeman. It means that a deal no fear than a bobura. A deal bobura, the government about the system never rejected. Because Majeri ya agyeman. And name Mark a year yaw no a year a deal crop. So the system will reject. Every no more so no. You can also provide a year your friend is saying or Ghana commercial bank account, or make you not provide. What would it be so who would be you make creativity at the amount. Every no only bank of Ghana and commercial bank account. That's what I had to find a commercial bank account, not a vegetable. I can't follow before commercial bank account, not a vegetable. A what school will provide them and any bank account details, and market and also no, you cannot on tanker because that's just an intra. Obviously, a Ghana card will provide the validation, and a Ghana card will provide the mass school where different Ghana card. Mark, how do you pay such a person? It's automatically, and yeah, it's a system now. This terminal has been designed in such a way that it's very robust. Tell me, I bet check it out here with you. If you're not it's your account now, and your system now, not system not rejected that way, and now so much way, Majeri, and you're no and yes, I'm so much here, what buy a system anymore. And see, that is the reason why a binomo and then I receive you music. You see, because we wanted to do away with issues of friend saying, how do you call it, ghost names, you know. So I'm trying to say, Majeri, who didn't know Mark, M-A-R-K, right?
Mm-hmm.
Obi what system no so no. Or M on the dog see her. And A-by-R-K. That is different from Mark, you know. It's a system you are those that are or ask my system, no, that's system 9. You want to tell. But with this, for instance, that's when you are not the way. I mean, some of them get the committee issue, and some of them are who say, where they are where they are the panel, they are all typing in a mistake by, and yet try to get back to them to make sure they will rectify and yet those things.
Okay.
But now, I'm providing Ghana card, I have to come from. You provide my school, then you pay the mark. Genuinely, you cannot proceed to pay such a year to the person.
Okay.
To provide a bank account, a year different from your friend is saying, "Dear, I provide the name of the different bank account." No mark, you cannot pay.
But nipa need to mean correct. To mean best because ebia nampa mutima validate say ye ne parent ne papa bank account no the mine.
You can't validate. How do we validate say ne papa? You can't.
Oh, but send the details. All fail anyway, I say,
so details, you know, by validate, we don't take details of a payment. So we wouldn't know whether it's your father. And you know, since you wouldn't send your mouth for are sophisticated enough to hit into a system or mobile manipulative system. And if you are not careful, man, would you agree that to be you be free a friend saying student loan transfer and now we have to go down for you see your bank argument. Acquire there. Yes, my ghost name. And so you be a ghost name and acquire them. Minimum due diligence be a mining anything at your bank buy a argument. And we know a bicycle, a bicycle answer here. So what the man will be also we are extra due diligence. The majority are here.
Yeah.
10 years. One city current to me again and perform a bicycle. The Cobase 2 Ghana city current perform a beer. You know back with the court. You have called financial law to the state. And we have seen this over and over in this country. And I guess you cannot cover you. Minimum that one man and me and now answer said, I didn't know, and then omakotwere eye esawo omakotwere eye abankuku mu a anka na enimu kwan sɛ ɛde sɛba ne samba Jerry.
Okay, enti the aye can emu bia ni ho a nipa ne betime ya ba na wa be correct anomaly no.
So my Jerry, there are some of them, like I said, yes, a committee, a bit more crano, or we have mistakes, you know. Some of them will send them messages every second almost system in a mouth. Say, oh, my correct mistakes, you know. If you don't buy a demand yet.
Okay.
It's a human institution. If you don't buy a demand yet. And again, Mark, we work with timeline. And you know, your day a year release the other year, there's a timeline. I want the university to upload your list. There's a timeline. Also, with students, and also you have a responsibility. So, validate too. Now, the time you Jerry. That's the way now. What else can we do?
Okay. Right. Yeah, but today I can I say what? Ana ya no so yemu bi ne mfom so nipa no koye mfom so ni wie a na wasan twa wafa ye kan say wasan atwa kire ana wafa kire aha na wasan afa kire abeka say ade we kwa say na ye ete say obi a oka chem say ye disqualify no ye security recruitment oye na me guide no ko ye say afi oba na Mr. Ma, you discolor. I'm saying, then the discolor. Me go here. Mo send the date of birth. Was son.
Can you imagine?
Yeah. And I answer you. Move. No. Sometimes I don't understand. You pay attention to idea here. Yeah. As they say, it's the kind of it was say. But my sa parents na contact you. Na what you say the situation there. Yeah. The because and run off frame me. Remember na contact you.
Yeah. They even a year status take a bit for about things. I can't say, Obia, wo apply our tanker usikano, utimi, a Borgana card. It will tell you the reason. Unya, a Borgana card, I bet your reasons is here, usikano, one tanker. Now, say, Mammy, be a room, a friend. Also, me, but say, send them a Ghana card number. Or send me a mistake. Mark. You realize that na near my also one yet. And I'm beside my man said, oh, yeah, A, B, C, D. My man said, oh, yeah, didn't I'm saying, for line. Or not to do that, now, almost say, and I'm saying, one. All kind of questions, Choma. That is why it has become quite necessary. Here issue, even this statement. Send your bear. Near course, and you see, last year was a pilot implementation, and as much as possible, no, moving forward, no, you per se, a year near whatever the shortfalls were in last year, a year shortfalls, a year this year. Oh yeah, Benya, and then another they go through, but at least I was see a reducing of the minimum a year friend say a year threshold. About one, don't do one. I benefited from the no fee space.
Sika saying na mutu aminim say it varies. That's an idea.
It varies, man. It varies. I would say university no you animal continue na you could be. Me what university na me a political science, humanities, political science, information studies, and the theater. Sika na me piano different from Sika no be or BSc admin the HIA. And as Sika, me crana me political science or University of Ghana, na me piano different from Obia or what take or political science Sika or the Uchia. In fact, me crana me war a year University of Ghana, you have various campuses. You have distance for her. You have city campus for her. You have fee paying for her. And the main campus of the these campuses, you know, so we have political science. Depending on the campus you are offering the course, you know. Any sika over the ubetia. It's sika no a year school they charge no differ from campus to campus. And until sika no, but definitely will not be the same. It will differ from one campus, one course to the other.
All right. The ATM maybe sounds say me panel member bia ayo baha or Accra Technical University. Or say Sikana Mutuya no Muntuya Nina and farm student Mutuya half. Is it correct?
Mark, for Catholic half, it is not entirely correct. Okay, so let me explain. Obakaya, a man, you want one. Now, a promise, and I said, if you back there were times I was in your studio near academic user facility fee. The matter okay. But you buy you say academic user facility fee the mark. The offer University of Ghana now for billion. Academic user facility fee about 2,000 Ghana. It's a so the ministry decided say I was saying here academic related fees instead of academic facility fees. So far, the fees component of universities now. Almost to be charged a year men finance ABA, but Yanko University of Ghana. It will almost be FRCG. So that is not academic related fee. Development levy. That is not academic related fee. It's say your first school fees, that component, you have the bit to say SRCG, development levy, any related to academic your friends and fees. They say laboratory dues, lab dues, they say academic user facility fee, and then you take one. And no, we don't have time. It is not entirely true that it's your half. No, there are some people. It is depending on the fee structure. No, it be as much as 95%. As much as 95%. In fact, this year, no, there are some of them who even receive 100% because of the school fees component,
Okay, internet akwago say every university be an component be a shame.
Tuba Kayana say even parliament, I think so. And either parliament and schools, any ministry, had difficulties. And then I'm more charging, I think University of Ghana also. More charging never be I want say more charging. If I don't see it is your comfort with SRCGs. I don't expect government to say that. Maybe for government to kind of be SRCGs. So depending on the fee structure and the components of the school fees, and they may determine the percentage you bet you.
Okay, it's in no honor to inchimo no. And then so exercise. Enti afiwe take you full compliment obia na
for a year public university and tertiary institutions, let me put it that way.
Aban suku pon.
Aban schools are public tertiary institutions. If the public tertiary institutions, include a year university, a year technical university, a year colleges of education, health training institutions, colleges of agriculture or agricultural colleges. A year India. A year university and a school fee and a benefit from the no fees a year strength. Mark.
Okuro yabo ebisa question na question no ehun hia say maybe sao because momu nchiremo no say bia na onyanti ase no bisa say what about woman a masters obi no call level 100 go masters baba
dabi
enti na je say meyi na no wo kwa anti
level 100
onko masters or level 100 enti okuro yabo question na obisa no fee stress no and cover le obi oye masters because level 100 yenye masters wo okay all right okay
na Mark
yeah
buy and you might be very positive so that you signed a year free university for people living with disability and so aba. And no, Yenuano Bibinti, Omadi Demono. Abayin Ashe through the Ministry of Education and the Student Loan Trust Fund, Kuya. Say Yenuano from level 100 to secondary school. And found that your course, a year 5 years, 6 years, 4 years. We stay on campus now. We school fees now. Abayin Famuka. Mama, and your school fees in Kwao. Abayin also a year of hostel fees for the Eka. Abayin hostel fees for the year. Abayin year. Near say, will provide what we refer to as digital tools. I have one more to me at the SPND say a laptop. Any other digital tool, Abino is making provisions that will provide for people living with disability. Tell you also make me at the SPND. Now the crack. Yeah, Jonah Holmes say, a year, a conya bamwa, yen young one will any form of disability. Or more active so or mobile university, yet you school fees from level 100 to final year, yet you hostel fee, more digital tools, Busumi be answer, a quambamua, a buying a demo with the crack, nobody at home, bottom, nobody at mom, what bra, or more school, near Brofuno, your friend, yes, high pence, Cardia wing so, a buyer, university, a friend said the student loan trust fund. We are administering that so the Amaye more. One more edit them, not one Akunya, now one call a university. And so these and many other more are a good also with the student loan trust fund.
Because maybe say you know nobody demi at the statement by say one more dear no. I said they are na ye bibi awo. Gilbert a jare. What at the statement be by no crown and a major shanaka. Makan at the amawe.
So, Yenuanuma, every demo modiano. Your pahu and tuma, latter part of last year. Last year, you rolling it up. It's so because a year, and then they are doing a year. You rolling it out. Like I said, latter part of last year, and your pahu a year tuma.
Okay.
We are working a year assiduously, a year hard. We be making sure that we implement full cost. And I did be honest, this is the first of its kind. Yeah. And you know, where there will be somewhere you can. So, we are first one now. You learn from the first one that you are improving as time go by. The part of the and you know, I won't come and the student loan transfer led by Dr. Raj, yes, Ajidano, and then myself, will make sure that you edit them near what's almost Taka, quite was almost fast to the BBI, and look, we have had interactions with the schools, we have asked them. I was almost my edit them on who pine. I know pine said. What charge you be when did them a school fees? All the money and the school fees are more charging to be forwarded to the student loan trust fund. 10 years before they are mass schools, Now Yanko harassing you in our universities, Mark.
Okay. Kwadodankwa Ebrepe may invite to our studio na many material phone na yebisa questions.
I'll be glad.
Yeah.
I'll
okay.
Be very, very glad.
Right. For now, Nadia, you be see our boss on the swamai.
Sure.
All right. Yeah, we can.
All right, Mark.
Kwadodankwa CEO the Ma Student Loan Trust Fund. On any no it didn't come in. It won't so said what you mean. Saying and chumonete at the mouth 02011 62746 02011 62746. Ghana Montie Sunia would need 100.9.
Ghana Montie. Ghana Montie. Ghana Montie. Ghana Montie.
Akosia Tonam. Osho.
Oh, me oh pa.
All right. Agosa fakakra na menkeka messages.
Abusianfo yemfa the Ghanaian Times the Obokrata no na yemfa ntoa so na Times the Obokrata no ene wo bo amane na sankomo imagjeria akodi aba said ye enam so ma Ministry of Lands and Natural Resources wo mo so ma hyase digitalization of public lands no ehon sem so e wa ase a Times the Obokrata de ho amane bo aba Ghana and Korea wo mo edi wo mo nsa hyantiase apamensa ase said be betimi aboa ama enkitamudi e de Ghana ene Korea ntemu no yebetimi ahyemu kina ya Times the Obokrata de ho amane bo aba Ghana Health Service ene ebo amane sa afi etwemu no ema ekwa awo so no emu 1000 ana atwa nananom ewo ensiedo ya Times the Obokrata nso do ho amane bo aba se oba nyame ayadom ne ho odin pa wokwo no ene wantimi ambabium ya Times the Obokrata ene anope wode ho amane bo aba abusianfo de Ghanaian Times the Obokrata no ani wase no obo amane ene watwa ye weja irrigation site aba na eno no se weja irrigation project no a chese akwakoye bibie ho sane se wo mo se wo ba bi a wo mo di dwuma no estate developers wo mo ensase no wo mo efum sase no wo mo di yekua no estate developers bi mo enkrochi ya chese Times the Obokrata nso de ho amanebo aba na we die ene land ministry no wo mo digitalization ni kwan ya o mehwe na nsase no yetimi ahwe abohon ban we die no a we die o mabom wo mfo mani chemu weja ade na ba nsase a wo mo di yekua de a yebenya biedi no wo de wo se wo fa sen wo de a ehun sem so wa ase at Times the Obokrata de ho amanebo aba buziafo yemfa daybreak ade achia bia na daybreak the Obokrata no obo amane o de Ghana man panyi John Dramani mamafo nyini aba na ni nyina ese boko conflict no a asan so apeja ne mu biom no na wo se anananom atrangunyawo mo no wo mo ese wo mo ne nsentwofo bedi nkomo ene ya achese daybreak the Obokrata no de ho amanebo aba daybreak the Obokrata no ani ho se ya ena wode domkuma ba no dani onmunyamfo Alexander Fenyoma ke odinfo nyine aba ena wo se sede ade ne ekoso anase ukopie mu awmahye bedwefia ekame ese domkuma no wo se waso mpese omkoma no tum bisa ase de nti na ase wo mpese omkoma no tum emma so kwa mu sakura de wo se omka ho asem ade bia aban ne ye enkoyie no mbeka ho asem wo mbehwe se aban no niema wo ye no obeye no kwampa so ya daybreak the Obokrata nso so ede ho amanebo aba ewo ha sei daybreak ene obo amane ene o se 85 million wo mo transit goods no wo mo ebisa se ewe he report no ewo he Dr. Kiso Atofosen finance minister ano nifonyin aba daybreak na ebisa ya chese ho nsem so ha sei a ye de bi esomo na daybreak anim ha sei ene obo amane or the lawyer Sandra from Port nifonyin aba na omo se lawyer yi ede wasi Ghana Bar Association over say ni nyina ejina omo se Young Lawyers Forum election bi e course no me say ankoyi a mebi monti bi mo bonyu so ya chese daybreak the Obokrata so ede ho amanebo aba abusiafo yemfa the overseer the Obokrata no na wode oswafo hwe emma ene emofra eyedie ene wo mo bambo eso ane asetena pa ensem so Dr. Agnes na momolate odinfo nyine aba en wo ka se wo mo pushi pa se de bia ebetimi aboa ma periperio ama emma ene mofra no ebetimi awie peyo emra no eya na edu ba bia emma ene mofra no wo mo bre wo ho pa anti ebi mpo a obi di oba bi afa kwambone so ana obi di abofra bi afa kwambone so kwan ben so ene obefa matentere ne akọ ede amom eno enom si general minister wo pushi pa se asetena pa no obi a ebetimi anya fa hodie ewo mu ya atase overseer the Obokrata ede ho amanebo aba na the overseer the Obokrata no de Ghana man panyi John Dramani mahamafo nyini aba na waji ne fugu kama pa waji ne kiki wutim se enye bete na the overseer the Obokrata no se NDC aban eba aye kata hye dwirim ne proye kankan wo mo se abafom pa se de anka obenze ye keka ba bia corruption no wo mo ese sisi ase da ne si akono wo hwe corruption fight ya ban e de abonani ase a wo so wo be hwe ne wo betu ase no se an prove pa nanim ya chese wo hwe cars na fe gempa wo mo survey a wo mo eyeye ho nsem so wa hase a the overseer the bureaucrat no ede ho amanebo aba na the overseer the bureaucrat no animo say ena ode Ghana mampanyi abedeche Professor Jena na Opoku Agyeman wonne fo nyina aba ena ode ato road minister anim say road minister Ghana for kasa wo mo aka niema beble bi mu kra se an ba bi e wo se car park no eho ena nkrofo edidwa car park anaase ba bi e wo begina na eja wotimi asi obi no eho na nkrofo didwa ena afa nsususo wutimi se drivers yi ebi mu eje atwitwamenebo ni nyina no maka ho asem traffic bi wo ho a ankade achi ye wo se red go green eso yellow no a ebo nani pre get ready no a ena fe enima bebre ewo yakwan ne akwantempo so kwan ne bi atutu kwan bi so ye twiri so be ye bibie ho enima bebre nkoye kwan no bi mu akasa ntino oswafo chese omampanyin abedi akire en wo ka che oswafo hwe yakwan ne akwantempo so se issues bebre wo yakwan ne akwantempo so enti wo hwe no sa concern no a Ghana for can one address ya chese do overseer the bureaucrat anso ede ho amanebo aba na the overseer the bureaucrat ado animo say na wodi owura Godwin Etamakulu Esquire NPA boss no wone fo nyi aba eno no ka se de Ukraine any Israel na US nso so eja babam jeni waje abonani asensa ntokwa ya je se eba a egusu a eja ne nanso a wo bi nim adeche ene da benku ena santokwa ibeba wienti no Ghana fo yem hihye yem huri fango be sa peja ni mu de ene esi yewu o kofa ne ma yebe charge ye de be shem o transportation ebe kosoro ne no ena MPA boss ne se monka wakomatu ye Ghana fo se bia mo be kase an ebo ne be kosoro na afe na ebi kura be shoto ne ho nkrono ba o se sansem ni nyina eda yenda fu no etawo se dewa ewo ho papa te se de wako anwonani fie ni waka akpele we reserve we taachire ho no nyejo enti
asamna no waka na anwonani fie waka akpele
de reserve eta ho no
mo bedi abebi aka akwantufo nyina ba bedi
obi aba bedibi ahoho nyina ba bedibi ti omse fu no ebi ta ho nti yanke yakoma enti yeyam
all right. Meda say mamemfa eye messages ni bi wa hai na efa to aso Mesha Kasante abejafo no so enchon betena say Mesha Kasante is honestly speaking I must tell the truth and the truth is one. I'm one of those who are disappointed bitterly in my own and this government when it comes to the prosecution of former government officials who offended the state through corruption. And let me also caution some of us who are calling on government to take action against the corrupt former government officials. We don't want to hear any comments and lamentations if the law start working giddy on those corrupt officials because we always call for action, but if the action starts, then we same people will tend to ask questions, whether it is political persecution. We know some of Ghanaians and their hypocritical behaviors. Mesha Kasante Medase. Okoto Rasta Bodwiase. I'll say good morning to Mark Jerry. Ukraine-Russia war could not adversely impact the economy under Nana Kufuor's government because Ghana and Ukraine are over 7,000 kilometers apart and the bombs were not directly landing in Ghana. That they were just a man for their propaganda. I said, I won't be the because said JDM is okay. Ghana politics in the end, baby, yes, you. Also, how can the war in the Middle East affect us here in Ghana, individually or collectively? I need answers, yo. Why not this way? Okoto Rasta. Your woman says, so follow principle there. You would understand. But so be follow the usual political principles are. And it is Sana Bekan. Alive about the Fremadino say, His Excellency John Dramani Mahama to put pressure on the Attorney General to act since the reset agenda has not touched the past MPP administration, but only focusing on the current NDC officials who said MPP cares about resetting agenda. If active prosecution doesn't take place for people to be jailed or the confiscated properties from MPP, future MPP administration will release those properties through any means. Listening to new audit reports and the monies involved, Attorney General Honorable Dominic Ayini shouldn't let Ghana down. Alai Baba Odifi Madina. Wafake no plan station said NDC should stop complaining and do the job. So Chamusi Sabo, national organizer hopeful. Where's the Jerry? My name is Yahweh J. Kashmo from Jamasa Buene Matonoso. Why are we doing this to ourselves? Minister responsible for security services know the number of people they will pick into the security service, but they oversold the forms. And this government, dear, everything is about protocols. Can you believe that, as I always talk about unemployment, nurses, recruitment, are ongoing underground? Financial clearance anyway. Jerry, good evening. My name is Okai from Bantamasada West District. Beyond the frustration expressed by the NDC grassroots, the bigger issue here is unemployment. If over 500,000 young people are competing for only 5,000 security service jobs, and about 75,000 of them are graduates, it clearly shows the level of joblessness in the country. During the campaign, the NDC made Ghanaians believe that the so-called 24-hour economy would easily create massive jobs. But the woman say, "Be a university or yeah, Juma, a bit charady, and so one more person with an security service." I know so many and because Nipa no yeah, Juma, and so I say, change of a sober security we anymore. So I can so me nim kwa ye bit me afa so a ye behwe na ya aboade. Masawudu edi free bantama. Also in the run up to the 2024 elections, we warned Ghanaians about the second coming of JDM, but they ignored. Today, the good people of Ghana can now differentiate between the previous MPP government and this current high-sense government in terms of nation building. Masaudu, Edifria Kumasamantuma. People you interview, such as Kojopoku, should not be so happy because external factors may destabilize our economy. For we are all involved, and we are going to suffer together. He is an outstanding energy expert, but politics have taken over his analysis. The question of effects of external factors was by Dr. Baumia, and he was referred to say, no one should act like that question was generated by President Mahama. It's on Sonedia or the Abenie. All right, Coleman Sandomi Pillar 2. I said nothing can stop MPP win 2028 no matter what. MPP will bounce back stronger, and kudos to Nina Chumaponsa, next US MPP branch women organizer, and Hajia Safia Mohammed. Abele Free Nungwa, so Don McJerry, keep up the good works. MPP is poised to win 2028 elections because things are getting bad. Greetings to Honorable Carlos Ahinkra. Where's McJerry? I just returned from Ghana. I sold my cocoa in November and still haven't received payment. Oil palm was selling for 2,500 cedis per ton at Achimesuom in December last month, but the prices have come down. I've come to 1,200 Ghana cedis per ton, and that is half the price we received in December. Kwasiboche, Edifri Sydney. Hey, Asamo. When will our leaders have mercy on Ghanaians if you know your intake will be 5,000 recruitment and you sold 550,000 forms? Abba. You collected this chunk of money, 200 by 550,000. God have mercy. Sami Boache said Ghanaians have made a big mistake by voting for the incompetent, clueless, and insensitive back to power again. See how they manage the youth of Ghana when they are seeking a job in the security sector, and after taking their money, you disqualified them. Look at the high cost of living. Everybody's crying, including their own party members. Yet they have increased electricity by 28% while claiming that the economy is stabilizing and the dollar is 10 Ghana cedis. Prepaid is running like aviator. Nobody wants to talk about it. It's an osonidia or the abeni. Jomo Edifri aye Pokrasa Festus. I'll say, kindly explain to the good people of Ghana why the sudden U-turn on the suspension of the sale of state lands after incumbent vociferously kicking against the same practice while in opposition. My question is, what did the NDC see in opposition? Jomo Pokrasa Festus. Where is Jerry? If you denied visa, can the embassy refund your money back to you? The same to the security recruitment. Captain Akpalu from East Legon and the Anwana also working. Ebenezer de Frequabenya, I said the appointing authority should set up and do the needful because we are allowing the MPP to have something saying, you know. All right, Mami, come on, so. Dr. George Esiama, medical director, C4C Homeopathic Hospital. Dog Marche.
Yeah, my Jerry.
I'm going to say.
About the other senior, no way pa Majidis or somewhere.
Nyanko Pardon Boko, I just see for see a down my etiapo. Na, and then so good. And then upon Medina at the end of the
You, my Jerry, Sanya Diana, no, that's how we figure can say so. I wish any and again, official path because, of course, you know, yeah, month of a year. March mu nti celebration na na yeguso na yada obi asese yekoso etie nchechre a yekoso ede ma the ama yesa de we no say chronic cases arise bebre impo recently article I read from Kolebuma who said cases of kidney problem ekosro bebre na o relate sa anyama we nyina wotime hu se enioma ye ko ni peduane mu enduane ayedi yankasa ye lifestyle ye physical inactivities so ena mbondra ye no ma ko ni peduane mu de eko organs ni mu titiro ye brebo ye kidney ene akoma no ema edwuma eboro so bebre no ena ema yare build up. Now, World Health Organization, my own say chronic cases are aging free in life mupano, cardiovascular disease, naturally say area akomano, your blood vessels, any the mujano. Now, so diabetes so another major thing. The complications no edi or how we brave. In fact, the complications no crampo etini emma some of the major cases of cancer build up. Some of the major cases of internal essay building up. Some of the major cases of PCOS, just a polycystic ovarian syndrome. Ekini emma yeni animal marcos ya tosa emma kosiana ho de no ba from empo emma time was say nka oko ne feature no na asesa emma empo kosiana be bampa na ho de no ne quality no so ewo form ebi omukra no emma bema so ahoɔden wɔ mpem ayera ɛma sɛ bi bɛma nkwammoa no ayɛ ne sperm cells no so ahoɔden ɛba fam yɛsua ehu sɛ efi dose wɔ nipadua no mu na imbalances wɔ hormones no mu ɛba diabetes titiro ɛba etimi ɛma wɔ hormones no ɛsesa kakra ɛsan sɛ insulin a ɛyɛ special hormone a yɛ pancreas produce to help regulate esikyire no dodo a wɔyɛ nipadua no mu no say esikyire no dose wɔ mogya no na insulin no so dose wɔ mogya no mu insulin no ɛhyɛ body no ɛma ne ɛpɛ crave for nneɛma a ɛyɛ sweet bebree ɛma ɛsɛe mogya no more ɛma empo the metabolism function how our body no break it down aduane break it down in draw break it down chemicals break it down nneɛma bebree a ɛbɛba mogya no mu no ɛyɛ slow nti etimi affect hormones no mpokra no yɛn ya no ba estrogen no ahoɔden no ɛba fam ɛma testosterone ɛkɔsoro ebiom sɛ diabetes echa nipadua no mu a esichire to me converting into fat and also to me increasing your chances of a hyperlipidemia. There's a cholesterol a build the way nipadua no mu kai so says a cholesterol so cause do bebre and moi your brother born say to me increasing chances of hepatic steatosis, not just a fatty liver. I am very common these days. Almost about for 10 Abeba hospital be for general checkup no about 8 fatty liver. Then so names more fatty liver because the liver no more or no what you generative function or yare or son no yare if it be ma or son no yare or no bra or no kenya in hunti amaya am fine name goshe. Then so say yare ko kano na went me and son no yare pe or break it down I ko organs ni na when the animal and diabetes in shishima who say a major reason ya brebo no tire fatty it to me a cough problem ma brebo no ba e biom diabetes aye de ho nkomo emsra so wo bi na wo da so a wo no medru a ba stress e bo modern na fa weni ehwe wo brebo no e san say yo bibia your friend diabetic neuropathy yeah nerves no it mean problems nerves mean problem because of diabetes the attorney say entina when you pedianum it may hyper and the hyperness no be by if be peripheral sensitization just entino when you pedianum a be our shelter a protector and so you see burn our shelter no into myelin no exposed and that exposure need to me affect send your information ebe free adrenaline through the spine no akọ intimo tinima unya burning sensation to ba ho se ho hyehye bebre ebi suka ho a unya the friend stalking glove pattern let's say on satiano and on 9 ni nyina no start say yetitriti extremities no obo ho se ho yetitriti bebre start wo kakra ansa na afa onan ni nyina na afa onsa ni nyina na afa unya paresthesia tingling sensation trese bibini na moni pediani mu ayete sen taxi bibini na mu wo mpane bi na so do saka wo hwe progressive na chese kone ni ma na afa the problem kase be ma untini nyina eno na ye fe no diabetic neuropathy ebi o mu diabetic nephropathy chese wo nephrons no your special parenchymal cells. These are resident cells your kidneys no until you see obia about 1 million plus of nephrons no the digiman wo kidney ni mu na soni moja no so na efina ewo ni pedianum nyina abrebo na gada ni nyina no with media babo ntin nephron no so hia na so esichire bedos wo ni pedianum pe body no hu ni say esichire no ye harmful. Nti okenya kidney ni say kidney the pacho we juma ba but yes that draining function in my head but yes I sit ni nyina afrim nti bo wo say wo jonso adoso na wo jonso bebre wo jonso no doso sa the idea ni say sit ni e free ni pedianum I don't know obi wo ha or diabetes na otonso or ni saka ni jonso no the kana no na e sit wo kidney na try say e ni nyina na so sit ho odin a or wa ho odin o de sit moja e de say in team and na nephron no so yentin enti esisi ni fem bebre sa no gradually na nephron no essay na akwa kidney problem and ka ho na kidney cases rise bebre these days and the saddest part is very common our young adults enti at the age of 20 to 40 years kidney problem rising gone are the days na you who say ya papa mo ne ma me mu do mpani fie so e bia na ne ma o medidi ni lifestyle be changes been at that age of maybe 70 na only problem is but I common these days that 20 to 40 years a whole rise be brain. Some of these are attributed to a fear who do I jama is na any pedianum a diani aye dia mu chemicals so those so aye who empo diani take some few minutes to prepare but hours for it to digest. Nanso ya no na ye didi guso na ye rena ma ho dro so guso na ye so ye for fan dra said ye ni oba be share for 10-6 hours me ni ma ho de nkura wo any baby a wo ko any sebi de obenya esan said ye we bia no the pressure to akoma no so ni kidney na ye ejuma kai sɛ aphrodisiacs ahodoɔ no ɛnni ahoɔden biara deɛ ɛyɛ no sɛ ebiebie wɔ blood vessels no ma akoma no bɔ ntɛntɛm pushi mogya into the organ no mu na ɛtumi ayɛ adwuma and in the long term na akoma no brɛ ma akoma no hohoro bɛyɛ kɛseɛ ɛti yɛ a yɛfefa nduro in the long term yɛ kidney no so chemical ne bi gya ɛwɔ nipadua no mu yɛsua biribi yɛfrɛ no bioavailability kyerɛ sɛ duro bi a wobɛfa no dodoɔ na ɛka wɔ nipadua no mu nti sɛ chemicals wɔ mu na ɛka nipadua no mu a ɛsɛe kidney no ɛsɛe liver no ɛsɛe akoma no ɛka ho bi ɛna diabetic nephropathy ɛrise bebree nti yɛsikyire dɔɔso a ɛtumi ɛsɛe yɛ kidney no ebiom ɛtumi increase your chances of cardiovascular disease nti wotumi nya myocardial infarction kyerɛ sɛ muscles na ɛwɔ akoma no no ɔmo lack blood supply organ be lack blood supply when within a space of 5 minutes, tissues no start to die, and that is what we call infarction. It is a akomano, a lack muscles no a lack blood there. Blockage is a bad infarction best set it up. It utiminya damages our akomano. Or blood vessels no so it Mr. Kai. Say problems with a citrino, Emma mujani to the ethic, Emma akomano excessively, and a cell blood vessels, Emma endothelial tissues are. Ebwa produce heparin-like substance. Ebwa produce thrombomodulin. Ebwa produce aggregation, platelet aggregation, inhibitors of platelet aggregation. Ebwa sene beya mojane nkloto na mojane betini ananti freely or blood vessels no akwa adrenal ma prefrontal cortex enyane die ma hemispheres enyane die ma hippocampus enyane die ma cerebellum enyane die ma cerebrum enyane die ma intestine enyane die no. So damages by blood vessels, circulation by a problem. Emma intino ni adrenal ebebre. Until increasing chances of stroke. Emma enosoba diabetes. How are it me edibano? Ebiom yaka say it me ma fatty liver so ebasenia obre bono beji esitre ni bia store mayeno in the course of yes ano it me ma fatty so. Ebiom diabetes to it me lead to osteoporosis. Your baby your friend a lazy bone. Osteopathy. There's a bones no start to say who they no a bathroom. She will be over diabetes. Now or arthritis are bones and you don't pay now who they no our form. Yanko Pomaya and say you don't pay you full of a insular and a lot of special chemicals into here calcium. A biome ya born air store this vitamin D and iron so that we can absorb enough calcium according to then so a situation the doors one it may affect our process no it may ma dompena who they no a bathroom it may ma mojano cry who they will make it and they was say feed the tissues name dompeno a bathroom until your basa don't feel to me brittle. Emma or ye lazy into upra crown, I don't pay no more the ability to send Colbert, Helena, a case in terminal, a delay. The sending a be a call out fear 99 buana and 9 twistia within some few days, bones are case, you know, but with diabetes, no bones never brittle. It's me a book at any time. And also to me or how about a crocodile to one, new one editing, a man be brave and miscarriage because of a diabetes. Diabetes to me, yes, it's me, Masabi, only insano, a pepper saying, Emma Empo, Bema so, one who are the number from. Can I say, oh, be your friend a lining cells and a settlely cells when you pay the animal, I can't test this one. The alien is a bois, Emma, a production of stem cell. Until you hear a lot of the estrogen, a lot of the androgen, all these, you know, a bois imbalances, kakra. So that your production of stem cells also so across. Then so diabetes but in it need that kind of system, you know. Emma your hormone production no system. Emma empo in tina sebi ekita bema no ahu ode ne bafom. Inti moja ntimi nko ye Emma unya grade 2, grade 4, grade 3 erection no. Ti de bia na ahu ode ne wasebi bema no no esi ti ase. And also to me or however infections are who do about onipedia no a check and san akọ kai emwa fungus no amope sweet. Nti obi a o diabetes ana we obi a onya infection bebre titiri wo wasum titiri sebi ewo wase ana se mpo hunam no uta dry bebre ana uta treat a lot of skin infection no science was say obomodiana utu anam oral health. See another thing, diabetes, nima wunya halitosis. Etilima unya infections bebre our gum nimu your friend be gingivitis. There is a unya inflammation in your gum into we yana moja wenu hospital kana moja wenu a bribia bones or bosso a phone bebre ninano a signs are a serious complications. Diabetes yeah so crowd to me my problem with anxiety. It's in my brain also a bread depression, anxiety nina to me setting in because of diabetes, diabetic ketoacidosis, diabetic ulcer food, these are some of the major complications of diabetes. It's immediate to nipedianos who say we nipediana. C for sister. So diabetes. And I am say ude grosso awonum. But modiana chawene na show breborn. The GDN said there is a special role breborn play in terms of regulating the situation. You see that who said your pancreas in this agyeman pembebre, it produces the insulin, the glucagon, the pancreatic polypeptidine, the somatostatin, transmitters, now so your brain wants that storage, that release, and that production function. Your baby are your friend glucogenesis. Your brain wants a store, a situation be mine. You hear not your mind. It's simple. It is a situation doors for moja anymore or no beboa now a store be a mind. It's important. A biome your releasing function, your glycolysis. Says a situation now our store you hear and yes I energy level back from. Can I say glucose I situation and then a boaco tissues, no muscles, no man who are demba in team until you hear a crab, but any kind of a dorsal. A bedorso one at your hauba. Until very easy, my na yemu who are dealing intermediate juma, I can't until we live on a healthier. A wow, am I regulate sugar level? A biome say a beam pa. Doctor Akachira said, position was srodo, and MD and the Abema sugar level, Nasa Kosuru Brea. Why dream mono? You see glucose nema energy. Until any as a mini near Abema energy, the any baby and memory. The patch of Yankopua and say, your kidney. Any liver, and burning some fat to be away in Nipediano. Kai say fat no, and then now you see a choir, see a choir ama insulin no, and to name fat a situation command muscles no tissues no. It is our bread board targeted fat no, no burning fat na, and you're very good. And yes, sir, Obetine develop for the friend of visceral fat. Visceral fat just a fat articulate organs nina ama organs na who are there abafoma and also it me very serious IT complications I can say about antibody no burn fat nina na it energy in the form of ATP and you know kwa obe burn proteins ahodo muscles ahodo when you pediatric na your proteins into your burn protein na your burn fat just to give us the energy. Role like your liver a play, role like your kidneys to a play. And anything I see for see body role say, my liver won't heal. Yari be a one nip the animal. Liver no a will be a play. Diabetes I had home coming at your how be brave eba. It to me a say nipa kidneys, a say nipa liver, a say nipa moja, a man nipa life no a cut short. If we lifestyles. If we lack of physical activities, if we again a year time a year is dry no year no do so cry a bit Kenya in your body no my body nankasa naturally I hear home but you have quick action and no be brea sensing ni pediano be bre AJ chemicals be bre to ni pediano my long term it me say ni pediano myself sebo modern animal sanka liboto na ba mo we are from 12 years and above. Senya daya no se livoton e Kenya obrebono ama obrebono storage function obrebono detoxification function immune function or in the form of air infections no or abwa regulating glucose level amount or abwa regulating pressure so that a command to the pasia bo ama moja na circulate ye akwa gini mu ye nti bo moja na ma sanka livoton metacho livoton there. On my India, and I see for the composition, quite preparing in India, my now all any parts of the world, and I say Ghana, Hana, Oche, and Tanquadia myself. Ura any pharmacy be also perceive for see liver tonic, Ubenebi. Say, where they mouse so Benebi, I may GD say, and who any day, no, Webber Madiana, what fret number, maybe better J. Naka, I said 24/7, yeah, that Johnson. na especially baby a wo bia no yɛde eduro no bɛbrɛ free without payment no yɛgusu ayɛ rani ebiom so wo place order for more than one bottle or special discount per head. A very important and really good promo or enjoy a beboa na boa ebusiani na. Mr. says if we see all over Ghana and to some extent some parts of Europe. Europe the man Netherlands near branch Kasiepa na Dr. Michael Kojo Chairman what nasi our Netherlands branch into the four egusu edi ayarhwe ho semester aka wo say so when you be wo ho a ope ayarhwe onko your branch our Netherlands and now say one kasa so utie na opese okọ your Netherlands branch offer number me do today now fra doctor no be di nkomo na wahwe ha ono so betimi de ni bia yankopon dia ma no aboa na apomode no so esipi me patch offer number +316 879 855 84 +316 879
and any amount for no
84 yes and any amount for no the anima awo amana no make
sesubiam what say
yes +316 879 855 84 +316 879 855 84 on my Netherlands and I offer doctor and obedi come. Okay. So I walk Accra any Ghana Cape Coast your Green Hill opposite Addison Square Gardens Aguna Odobe so your branch Kasiepa or Kumasi so your just so kwamu Jati Junction and yera kwan kra me straight akra your branch or na Accra there wa Denta SDA Junction branches in Ayejima from Monday to Saturday. Starting Ayejima exactly 7 a.m. on the dot. Now yapon 5 p.m. Mr. Treatment plan baseline investigation. Wo the best baby as my turning in our your Gianni also would the only kind so would the best exercise also in homeopathic natural remedies here the Kenya in pediana manipediana kasa healing na upon modeno yen tema mam touch of number in place in order na visit your branches in 050 00 40 331 050 00 40 331 and now 050 00 40 328 050 00 40 328 Chief for Liver Specialist Hospital, yes, so Brabo Aya Wong Kai, National so Nakai said, Yajian Donidi, a treatment plans ready. Tina Vidia Casa once treated, forever treated. Majaria and okay, so Medawa Sibium, or Abotre any Mra or the Amame, Miss Ren Uncle Ponce on cow or pound for no crew in our home, now on domain or Chinaso. Bye bye.
Yeah, that's said. Dr. George Siama, I am medical director, the C4C homeopathic. Hospital no na ye no edin komo no ebrenadu se eye papamfo abedwafo no ye be adwendwen ye ho na nensema ye hwe no ebi ni recruitment exercise e course so nipa 500,000 applicants yenka se nipa because ebinum ye ni twice ebi ye ni thrice 500,000 applicants never move 5,000. It be 5,000. You say modifications be your your recruitment exercise you be to be the abem. Then go back say be any you. Na dodo na kra qualify. Na sayani yef. Iti enonso yensema wo. Saranson and Yebisa say Cocoa farmers and Komoi. Still a queer being sanka musika. Na presidential advisor on a Greek, Dr. Tukono say within the next 2-3 weeks, Yanibia Sabeka Nisika, Diane Sanka, and Sabeka. Cocoa board from just 1 more 3 bedomoka. Yasha a buying sa see a bang the tabono toso. Enra Lands and Natural Resources Ministry. Aya so ye hwe ensa ase ne odoman komana body no so no. womo sa tabono no na mum de womo kan se nhyehyɛ foforo wɔ hɔ andei womo yɛ so obi pɛ sɛ ɔtɔ aban asase ntia no nso wɔ ha yɛ behwɛ srem sai atena se ɔyɛ member of the NDC womo National Communication Bureau srem sai mache
Jerry
apom te sɛn
nyame adom ad pass anche
anokre na said offer and so a member of the MPP womo National Communication Team sado
Nyamak
mache wiaboko
yeja apom die akadiaka
all right same time I'm just even through so Diego yapono so the person of fan kane and interest to
okay Jerry Mechia Miami Mami Madam Patience Timinka and then Awuda na me mano happy birthday.
Was it Patience there?
Timinka.
Yes. Oh, okay.
Yes. Very very fantastic lady. Me don pa na Miss Renya me say o man ne kwantintin na ontina ye nche se na be ya ye betumi ahwe no kakra ansa na nyankopon befre no na me chia me papa Deputy Attorney General Justice Tremsai. Now the edikan no yen tackle recruitment issue no same way there as a politician me fan in two different angles because first you are a Ghanaian before a politician as here. Now say a shared number of applicants now apply over the years and then the process is now use now mebo the current interior minister any the government abaso say they have tried to limit the human interference in the process say ebia you better say and that we are kojiska we are charges say we are say that has been one of the major issues over the years. MBB abreso no you don't even hear say recruitment koso ube one say afan crofo ubetia you say people are training na omo ye passing out da be na efa omo a obi enim the intakes now omoji most of the time is a burden on the government. Now the current government inheritance are from MPP in terms of economic hardships. It makes it difficult for the current government to take in a lot of people. In Shasiano, it was stated clearly the number of people security services in the me are taking due to the financial clearance. Because who found was now the woman said when you look at the number of people now apply for this security services now, you ask yourself, say, what happened to our educational system? Because Akoya said, Ejume ni hontino, obia pese oko into these services because we are sure say once okompe obenyaska and as a best at even people who are currently doing some sort of jobs want to go into these services. It's alarming. For a government that inherited about 13% unemployment rate from the MPP, it takes a lot for us to solve these issues. It takes a lot for us to solve these issues. And I understand your grassroots now, agitated, say they are qualified and they are supposed to go into the service now. I understand them. From the political perspective, they are right. So they are expected to be rewarded. Whether we like it or not, these are some of the reasons why people follow political parties. So that they now buying power on some of these opportunities. Nursing recruitment, teacher training recruitment, but unfortunately, the services cannot take everybody. And I think I heard the Interior Minister Eka say it is in phases. Instead of saying bulk recruitment, in phases. As and when there is a clearance for financial clearance now, you bet me then they recruit these people. Now, personally, the only problem I have is the number of forms are almost on. But that being said, these institutions also need to generate funds. I mean, these institutions also need IGFs to operate, to have some of these runnings ongoing. And I know perfectly that do not disqualify. It's not about refunding their monies to them. No problem, because now 220 cities, another 200 cities. Who did more? How many days? Oh, can we send in a class? So it is not really about the problem of refund. And I say back. It is about employment. So the question we should be asking is, how do we solve these problems? And as a American, our educational system is not helping us. Say, you're training students, you're training professors on because school ni we are. Now I'm betting if you trying abuying employee. How many people in the ministries or how many HR officers in the ministries can be employed at a time? How many people can we employ as a government agency or government public agencies? Employ in the department. We have about thousands of graduates coming out every year. I think it's high time we focus on training entrepreneurs and people who can start up businesses. And that is why I keep saying several times, I applaud this government for the initiatives of Odeba. And we need to sensitize the youth. Let them understand, things like agriculture is not meant for just people to say school. Agriculture is something that is lucrative. So instead of all of us assuming, once we enter into the security service, we should look at other alternatives. Like a Jumera program in this Edeba. It is supposed to set up people to be owners of businesses on their own. And we need to take advantage of these things. Agricultural programs, someone have NDC but youth in agriculture. Your friend is saying this poultry initiatives, not the idea. I think people need to put themselves into it, especially grassroots. Because we cannot take everybody into these services. Even the infrastructure is not a and we need gradual processes that expand these facilities for more intakes. Because obviously, security personnel is not your police one is soldier one almost. But it also comes at a cost for the government. Government so we are struggling to keep the country afloat, and we wouldn't want to burden the government with more cost when we can actually cut down costs. So for me, I feel people are right. They are agitated. A lot of people have been disqualified and all that. They have every reason to be angry. But also, I would want them to understand. And you'll be unable to me. Ebia one coin there, echina, another one beba. But I also feel that if there is any way those who apply to CA or qualify, they have the qualifications or they meet the qualifications. Due to aptitude tests and passing, internet disqualify. Maybe we should give them priority in the next recruitment. We know these number of people would go into up to like maybe aptitude test and I say medicals. So they will need to go through screening again. And we cannot emphasize government. As I said, over the years, we have not intentionally created avenues for youth to go into any other business. Here, MPP4, Omu di Napco by Omu Jinhuska over 100 billion. But as on free Abemu, they were owing Napco up to maybe I think 9 months in excess. Oh, Omu create drip, and also you don't know Omu employer, almost Omu youth in agriculture planting for food and jobs. You don't know who they employ. You don't even know where these jobs are. They said one district, one factory. Now they said that the factories were not supposed to be built from scratch. Now they were supposed to help factories. Factories were normal boy. Which people were employed in these factories? When they talk about unemployment, they are part of the issue because NAPCO for now free they added to the unemployment rate. Oh, assembly the area and a hard drink, but I'm very hopeful, say, going forward, the Interior Ministry and then the government would find an amicable way to solve this situation. So numbers will not be as much as it is now, and the qualified people would go through as expected. But we can all be qualified, but the truth is human interference a bit matter point. Because if you have about 109,000 people who are qualified for medicals, why now you will fail some due to maybe ill health. But if you cannot tell me say more than about 100,000 people are going to be failed because of health issues. So that is where favoritism now say party lines baby, because definitely we cannot go beyond human interference, but it has been limited in this process because from the start, when to me go to your OBS can say, Mama say, nah, at the end of the day, you pass me through a screening and an aptitude test, and because the aptitude test was done by an AI application. Now the rules now want to say, it take you snapshots. So there's nowhere at that point, wait to me, I could bribe you, be say, wow, and answer on tray exams anymore because exactly. So that and in that aspect, I really appreciate Adia Interior Ministry, in that regard because it shows apply for security. They are the real people now. Try exams, and when you pass, it means that you are competent enough to go through to the next stage. So, assembly the a hard dream so now. Right. So, me sure say on being wejuma as a senior Interior Minister, they are doing their best to make sure say the most qualified people go into our services. Say say you been home pictures be in social media now. Say you in everyone for any phobia and I recruit them because they are party affiliated now. They are and you see,
but send Is that you into me recruit them?
Well, there are pictures with people in uniforms now. But you see, my Jerry. First of all, secondly, Ghanaians, the security services is supposed to serve the country's interest. It's not supposed to be a party interest. And the system way has given. I have people who told me say they are happy this system came through because to me they don't even have the money to go and bribe anybody through the system. And they were only hoping and praying say their competence and then the system will favor them. And luckily enough, those of them I've spoken to have told me say they've qualified to the medical stage. So we are hoping say they will be fit enough to qualify and go to training. And for the system need there, I'll say it is good, but it also needs improvement. And the number of forms now almost ton. And go say be almost person almost in because say obejin crofo 5,500 no. Why do you sell over 500,000 your friend is saying forms? What I say, when you calculate, that's a lot of money. But like I said, it is also an avenue for these security agencies to rake in some funds to run their facilities and all that. And Midibesi here for now.
Medan say one so what 0201162746 said offer.
Jerry, Mechia. Na Mechia telephone before. Say anansu yenya kwan say no ebedin komo. Mincha Dr. Alhaji Mahmoud Bawumia, the presidential candidate for 2028 general elections, the incoming president of the Republic of Ghana 2029. Mejidi say say senior we any who chale. Na sabe aponchire nsu wu a any hu ne tenten. Saranso na megiri se swai danko. Ana okonda sonko. President Mahama amamu ayete hu sesia no. A few are benefiting and the majority of us are suffering. Amidst the frustration of the ordinary Ghanaian, the least thing President Mahama could have granted to them was freedom of association, freedom of expression, and freedom of movement. But today, Mark Jerry, I always say when say even nipa fundamental human rights, President Mahama say on farm. And so, I myself, so I mean, to improve te and sana ya ko substantive issue so. Mark say, "Oko to say the unia. No more ni amre. Anka nche nipa ne say sorry yeso. Na oka say sorry ne so a, or sorry ne so de beba so. Minu no teacher for in 2015-2016, President Mahama deny omo salaries. Na brana ebi mo ye adwuma for over 3 years, ebi mo 1 year, ebi mo 2 years. President Mahama tu omo ka 3 months pe no. Equally, wasan babio. You see, na me feel say learning from that experience, no, you'll be guided. But I'm so proud to coming into office as president in 2025. In his campaign, okay, say Oba be a fan of automatic placement. Ubi school as a training college teacher, Oba place you automatically, and he will make sure that there is timely recruitment. Ebium osansho mo say license exams omo twere no ehun hia into Oba obetwam. Mark, I always say woman say when you be a more say and some monocrono, name President Mahama de Saben on Tiasie. Oba ya nche bia ena teacher license exams sa teacher ni kwa kwatwira otua kakra ma e processing the documents and any biodata no or 40%. Obi a kwatwa exams recently bia no will bear testimony to what I'm saying. Mark, I always say woman say sa teacher for ya na President Mahama ka che omo say oba mo duty free cars. Inti say o import ni ama na so teacher ni a oba duty untua. And the teacher ni bia o import car bia no otua ni duty. President Mahama ntimi fulfill his promise no. Hwe oba ye last 2025 last year o ka chere teacher for say oba recruitment of 50,000 teaching staff. Na non teaching staff or recruit 10,000. ABC na zero recruitment and a teacher for and as a GSI. And Minister for Education and quite justify I was saying financial clearance. I don't know when financial clearance became something fictitious in the air. It's a home piebo and sunny the amount. Economy I see Jan and also intimate granted financial clearance and from the recruitment of teachers. Now I also want to say omo ya for mo crampo before answer na oba na was anka uti omuka ana omo obtaining financial clearance that ano ebesi ne ebi mo ho a omo ketua over 14 months e mai ebi 9 months ebi 10 months e mai na teacher ni expressing a frustration through picketing Offer Labor Act 651 it granted that right to every teacher and as every labor union in this country, you know. Share communication on the 9th of March 2026, Ghana Education Service, signed by Director of Public Affairs, Acting Director for Quality and Assurance, Edibetuja, or directed all teachers. They can't have that right to go and demonstrate during contact hours. McDerry, Sheka contact hours are unimreno. Time I was say Akolano school teacher ni which na the contact hours. Mark, maybe so say teacher any contact hours mostly beginning from 8 o'clock and up to enumerate maximum 4 o'clock. Mark, o catch teacher ni say contact hours e man nko pekete. E brebe bi no nko pekete and won demonstrate and chese bibi ha no. Aban institution bia e wo ha anaso o mai mu. O madwuma mre from 8 to 5. Ndi sa be na wo say e ma teacher ni enko kire say bibi koso a na ninje ho no. E brebe biem. President Mahama pese Sunday na teacher ni tifie no. GS officials etifie no e na onko demonstrate ana Saturday ana numere 6 o'clock e na onko Ministry of Education onko demonstrate. Mark hwe teacher ni ontimi nkan asem yen politicians ya na ebeka ebi say ye nuanom no omo ye namfofo no omo ye ma no omo ye papa no omo. President Mahama mesraw teacher ni professional development allowance kwa we waju sanka untia ya no na ye din na utia na in December adia nanka previous government na year on year in no utia in November no o ye waju sanka untia na mo hwe heat na eba no na jawo dia ho pepre e correctify. Yes sir, President Mahama se teacher nya katua untia na sabe kokwa nanse ne nte eya ahe na odibia kwanwan nti Mark initial remark on teachers sabe omuye nuanom a sabe omunti metena sa platform we so because of adwuma omuye nti emeka omasam te said de memete a meka mo omuyi nti na me ena no pay mani abra meka teacher for asam ede amom if say me gidi say oyonko da eno da. Mark arahusam ne se teacher ni akatua eya he ni aside dinano say in Chadeka. Now to recruitment processor. Minya bemai eti hanuma ene empabwane she ni na benku nti ohun se ni wonsi enka no. Mark, a few statistics on the recruitment process. So we share communication and Ministry of Interior and Ankasa de information with the man is nipa over 500,000 and I apply for this security jobs. Mark, 500,000, 500,000, 500,000 and I apply for this recruitment. Adi say omopemu ekwan na omuwie nyina no I think say ose nipa 94,000 enene omotinya pass a omotwen medicals. Now out of these figures from 500,000 no the ministry no ahoden ebetumi as a result of financial clearance omonya 5,000. Marjorie 5,000 in percentage terms. Just 1% of the total number omo apply for the security services and then here can one semi. Marjorie obi a oni sika a opa adwuma aye. Na ordinary yuri na share process nim. Nipa dodo yi 500,000 at the end of the day. Ni musa wa ho de metua fa 5,000. Adenti na obabie kwan say nipa bebrebe we nyina enko apply. Na at the end of the day, omo obetua absorb omo just 5,000. Adenti ni create a system a ebetia regulate the number of people on be apply. Na kwa so much to the extent say it will be seen as we taking advantage of the vulnerable. If you say unim say nipa 5,000 abefa dia, and then now be a nipa 500,000 ekwa apply. Now adeba kwa masa telezi almost say the online application no it is to curb human interface. Mark na system na down one manage. Technology ben enye nipa na manage.
I said at least barest minimum. So
maybe say technology ben and
as compared to the previous
I acknowledge
system.
that fact. So SARS system no more and justification with them say and until near the online system, but online system crash shall free net. Before I entered into politics actively, I tried my hands on applying for some of these security services job. I did my application online. Intimo obi ametra no man kan kire say online application the foforo in our recruitment process. It is something that you came to meet. It is not a novel practice. Now me no say NPP for during our era. The betiane say yafa omanfo. Na advertisement kwa na NTB secret recruitment na ekoso. Mageri. When na yakoni fee ekoso ni sem say apply. And I said brana beje police service nakum. I thought when he was spewing out some of these lies, we were going to correct him. It shouldn't be heard anywhere say Obasa repeated some mistake and he said during MPP era na secret recruitment and na ekoso omayim. Because we are all aware say recruitment process te be na publish in the dailies.
Now what you know can so say mbere wa force you know na me say anya no kore.
That was the aspect you corrected. But telling us say na secret recruitment na ekoso na anya no kore. So some of these things must be nipped in the bud. Now osani bebo mu say yentimi employ obia at a go. Ojeru no crazy aban bia ba won't employ obia at a go. But what makes what is happening now annoying is that President Mahama be dia bai. Obo won say abusuan baako. Ono ankasa eda board so. Ne ma CEOs, ne ma gu board so. Wetin am classic examples. Omo national chairman. Under board so. Ne ma me enu nyina enda board so.
Enye no kre.
Emu de na nya kre no Mageri.
Ne ba bia na board.
Ne ba bia na board so. Ne ba bia so nya CEO mai mu.
Me ba cho de we resigned last year June.
Oh, after they also were resigning.
I said they were going to be
now we back me your opportunity. I know they pen na resign. I don't know tell me, I don't know my foot soldier no so banko. No so resigning.
And na the ban resign here.
Me say I don't know my foot soldier no so ne banko bi. No fa ne pen resign.
Ade nkrofo no mo ya fa.
Abuja ko na didi.
Nkrofo abuja hin ne wa party ni mo ya appoint compared to NPP.
Abuja ko na didi.
A whole family.
Same time me ba.
O kasa na metia o. Abuja ko na didi. I don't know how appointed foot soldier no. No appointing ne ba. Ama ne ba na resign say ne papa enjoy nti o no resign. Eno ne man ye ya no. Eno ne man ye ya no. O ba eti opposition wa organize boxing competition bia. Obedi abaya obenya millions of dollars. Ati organize boxing competition.
Na yes sponsors. When the
sponsors. Tama no ati opposition no musa sponsors wo ho. Enti ebi didi na bi su. Ebi didi na bi da kom. That is the rationale behind the agitation of the foot soldiers. Enrechi ya Nana President Akufo-Addo no ye omampanyi o mayim. Ne cousin Ken Ofori-Atta ye nim say oye astute financial mogul in this country. Are all companies in this country and even outside this country. The companies are nim say viable even before NPP became the governing party in this country, no. Obedi aban yesi there be sika bia and say the operation o ye nyina no because na Akufo-Addo di aban tia. And then Ibrahim Mahama onko to private jet foforo. And should you also say the same measure none of the measure President Akufo-Addo ne apan for no ye for the same measure and for measure Ibrahim Mahama say ni nu obedi aban ti no onye sika de to private jet foforo.
Private jet and so woko jina wa nya nkate na go jina say
na satam ne de na bank set bank no na ye friend say domo enti u sorry ya na fifi anagare e di nsuagu so tama na people for NDC for enti na me bi say tama na Ken Ofori-Atta run in the data bank no data bank they setting up within a week
and aban we buy
Jerry, I am asking you, so during those times, did you fight against such diabolic presentations by the NDC?
I fought I fought it heavily. Even including now. Listen,
I am so happy, sir. You fought it then.
I fought it so Bibeka say data bank your transaction advisor because of MPP was so enya no kre me ka wa ha kan NDC for ka say me come MPP.
Jerry,
listen, mami okay. And they are NDC by ye. When I best 3 transaction advisors, data bank na the
Medase.
Our Bank of Ghana.
Exactly my point I was going to make. Exactly my point I was going to make.
Discussions
exactly the point I was going to make. Yeah, so today I am expecting say this deception, these deceptions are
in the same vein. Obika say Ibrahim Mahama koto jet because the new president was a sika. The pani is shallow because and just a wufiti prekopa no koto jet.
Exactly the point. Exactly the point I was making. Exactly the point I am making today. Sir.
Thank you.
Sir, Obiba any opportunity to serve as a CEO on a state company. It is not because no papa man penyintia. So kai don't dey jankoma in Akufo-Addo era. Said papa president in na kweye whatever. Jerry, let our principles be principles everywhere we find ourselves. Because anything that may be so rhetorically say, and then can we use the same measure? Nian kanche President Mahama say, only new air capture your state yana. Are they capturing our state? When you focus, so do you conconse fidia? If you do you conconse bra? If you nase, and exactly that what is happening in our political discourse today. And to me new asrem sa betraha no justify sa recruitment process here and who asemaye trokan ya.
Na ne trokan na ne de.
Maybe say na who cause am. Tama na wo show 4K men. Mami wanu si. Tama na wo
say dey can say afei. O say wo kasa mu no wo ka say even online no enya afei na aba na emo bi mbege say afei no online aba. The same person o ka say
mami nche otrokane
ayetrokana
mami nche otrokana aye no
afei na ayetroka enya nokre dia wo ka na nya nokre
Jerry mama no nsi na tie otrokana se
so ase so mu recruit a da bia ye complain say aden na da bia nipa dodo no mafa na enye ne ene ase. So be consistent and follow the principle.
Jerry,
yes.
Dia ananse die wo no. Abonte kuma on transintonko.
Akasacho.
Dia ananse odie wo no. Abonte kuma on transintonko. Nanye sa group of people here na in opposition. They were proffering alternative solutions. They solve your problems. Why are those brains? Me say, where are those brains? And it is a catch say recruitment process. Ayatroka. Ebini say in parliament, even when issues are raised about the recruitment process, untakase ontiase na dane intokwa. He doesn't want to be criticized as a leader. Leadership is not about let me have my way all the time. Allow yourself to be criticized so that when you fall short, you can make those amendments. Now, so be a porter to now money over 500,000, 500,000. Now, in your private circles, you know, said definitely you are just going to employ just 1% of the total number. Now, if you allow such illegalities to perpetrate, Mark, I will not applaud you because you are taking advantage of the vulnerable. Share na me know you can say recruitment process. Oh yeah, because of technology, it was fair and transparent. Mark, imagine say what exams now open a frato. Unya dani when your system na cut it off because thinking say you are engaging in a more practice.
System no a call for 3 times.
So should that be the practice? Say the other little option. Movement of your head and also your body parts no should disqualify you from continuing the process because there is a suspicion say, well, yes, sir, you are seeking assistance from
they are
somewhere.
Using UN standards.
And I'm asking you, say, is that the best practice here? Are you aware, say, in some remote areas of our country, internet cry anyhow, let alone accessing free system to be able to fill your forms? Me one number 4. Any neighbors they have to travel from the villages and come to Accra. Can you quantify the cost, the risk involved?
Open police at you.
Can you
quantify the cost? Can you quantify the risk involved? Why don't you make it user friendly? And what's of it? They say we not telling you not system na cattle. You see, you may not agree with me, but that is my opinion. So we invite him or has me tell margin. We invite him or has me tell margin. And then let the listeners pick what is informed out of it. And I may tell say, they may tell see, it might not affect you because now you don't feel it. Because he who feels it knows it. Now, say what to quite free. So she benchmark cat so. Add that to a crown what demand. Now they are back in and out. Check the risk involved.
Nipa no beko US.
No beko ya. Tobo owie ya. Oye na ade na no. Otan tinti adna kate.
US embassy.
And that is the bane of the foot soldiers who are today agitating. Intima, the system should be user friendly and be tailored towards our environment. Because you look at the context within which you are operating and not just holistically implementing a policy without considering the individuals who are involved in the process.
All right, how it is 100 points. And I'm suggesting to say one more apply multiple applications, you know. Nipa no ba apply for police, no apply for your friend is saying immigration and the akeka ho. As a system, you know. Yeah, in the sense at the moment we info bekomo no. What apply say block you. Because a balance I block somebody's also chance. It's police where okay, what qualify now ko ni nyina na still no be so we chire. No wakem. Nka uremu once or uremu police na pa ko police immigration na pa na ko.
Magjerry, when was that with this recruitment, you know, rules and regulations need be by before screening nuclear starting. At every point, given point, you know, they give you the guidelines to their
guidelines have always been there. Guidelines have always been there.
Now, on say aptitude test, you know, can say all those who had applied for several services, you know, that same aptitude test is what is going to be used for to disqualify or qualify you to the next stage. And a honor. So when you fail the aptitude test, it means it cuts across all services. What you say? Now, I agree with you, sir. They should be able to screen them from multiple entries. But Ebiana police and farm will be Ebiana immigrations no, are farmer no, and now prisons are farmer no. And in that aspect, you know, people are willing to try their chances on all opportunities, and you cannot stop them.
Okay.
What you say? Now, my membra set in same baby now can. First of all, no, let them stick to the discussion of the day. And maninko fa adini being free her, enfan be see her, he should stick to it. Ubi sa a simple question on recruitment. Teachers they are kofa by kikan the opesa or kikan piano. I mean, na esri. MPP for no I keep saying that they act as though omumba bemuda. They act as though NDC has been in power since 1957 AG independence. But you left power about just 10 to 13 months ago. And I'm more people move here. And they are comparing 1 year to their abysmal 8 years in governance. 1 year na NDC abano. They expect say all the promises that the NDC has given to the Ghanaians should be fulfilled in the 1 year. Can we compare our first year to NDC's first year? Can we do that? Can they categorically bring us figures of items now debate on and compare in the first 1 year of the MPP and the first 1 year of the Mahama's administration? Almost sorry, they want to compare, they want to whitewash Akufo-Addo by all standards. All of a sudden he's a saint. We saw what Nana Akufo-Addo did to this country. We saw what the MPP took every Ghanaian through in the last 8 years. They shouldn't sit here and try to make us look as you name the Ayeka and I say, the Ayeka is just in our head. No, every Ghanaian felt the pain. Gani ni bia awon ya ne esun a MP before the FA mu no. Every Ghanaian felt it. Now, on no account family and friends about chairman they say do get any name. Enya mu na mo start here during the first tenure of President Mahama. Amuka say Madam Joyce Bauer ne nua. Na nebusianfo he's running a family and friends. And I'm remember one guy said MP before they started this family and friends agenda in 2015. Our friend Mahama, and Wakosi standing in the fear for, and every Mahama you hear in the NDC government is a relative to Mahama.
Mekasa there me opposition on say family and friends matter. I see nothing wrong.
There's absolutely nothing wrong with it.
Remember Jerry, me a hypocrite, and then Makwe CEO you may be more. Minia a qualifier the word.
Exactly, it's qualification.
If the person qualifies, Masa. Me family as the priority.
Exactly.
It's a me biases. I was her family and friends, and Debbie Ameka, Tamana, Mu opposition, Nameka, na NDC for the Tamas.
I'm almost starting here. MPP started this in 2015.
Family and friends,
MPP started this family and friends. Now, Mama, first thing you know, the family member bang and an war government. And even if look at Madam Joyce Bauer's qualifications. Are you telling me say, oh, to me, are you telling me say, me see hey? Na me bedani penyin bia na me tiri ba wako school or qualified and I feel comfortable working with him or her no me to me employee no I can but MPP for the year politics in no NDC for also making sure say we pointed it out to them say A, B and C there has been no president in this country's history I employing the fear for than Kufado. He even employed or even appointed his ex girlfriend or say the baby mama. I mean, them say me boy.
Mosomaka na sa de no crap.
You should deny it. You should deny it.
Baby mama.
No crap. You said it here. Yes, ambassadorial deal. Me boy on confirm me. You understand? You employ your ex-girlfriends. Now more sorry, you want to speak about family and friends. That being, okay. I mean, if the person, the only thing we need to be concerned about is the qualification. Nipa na qualify wako hu school oni nim dia obetimi dia yejuman and then there is no issue. Chairman Johnson is doing get your man or mukano. Most of them are PhD holders. Wako school omo nim ejuma no. Oh, you are talking about Sharaf. Yes, of course, Sharaf. And now nipa baba.
Most of the amode year woman in trial.
No, me say omo no start here.
What me jitum say omo dey start here. But so omo start here, mo ba ye the amode data bank. The amode data bank, and it can all because I can overrata a finance minister and a data bank yet transaction advisor. Most of this information in pass a previous NDC and a weekend, not data bank, a transaction advisor to a lot of international transactions. And now make us say, Ora Johnson, NDC by best 3 institutions data bank account. It's a data and no politicization. And I mean,
when you reason it outside the walls of politics, it shouldn't be a big deal. When you reason it outside the walls of politics, because BRI a work on my way, mono MPP for the year politics. Everything in this country, MPP for the year politics. And when you advise them, say, let's stick to the reality and speak the truth, if for any reason, and Ken Oforiatta, who owns Data Bank, becomes the finance minister of this country, now say, move country now dream pan, what do? You excuse your bank from those things. And then bank be any obium. Also conflict of interest, Bank be any bit me say age. That is when you show interest or you show say you have the country at heart. My buying abesu. Me a finance minister. In order not to create any a friend is saying conflict of interest. Let's excuse Data Bank from the advisory board. Isn't that a prudent thing to do? But no, they went ahead and used. Now in them move back say at the end of President Mahama. Have you ever seen Baba on any political platform? Have you seen him speak or even made any political talk before? Obi Philly say, yes, he's the president of Ghana. Do you have the means to fly your president? As he requires Do you have the means to? You don't. Ninu say use my jet and just fuel it. You see, jet way crown. Baba started buying or started process. No, MPP was in power. When he started the process of buying this private jet. Into no more say because a union a power into no union man this car on the bland side on koto. When the agreement to buy this jet in ensure appear at supermarket koto. You go with your specifications and it takes years to be produced. When this thing started, MPP was in power. So Mubetana Hendena Mubeka say it breeds conflict of interest in a year. Where was this conflict of interest when Ken Overiata was the finance minister and his data bank was advisory to BOG? Where was this conflict of interest? And I honor conflict of interest in any serious country at that time, Ken Overiata or either he resigns or the bank would have been removed. The two of them will never be there at the same time. And you cannot compare this situation.
That's so I resign. None need it about.
No, but he's the owner. He owns it. Why resign? Did he resign as the owner? Or he resigned as a board member? Or he's the owner. Any dear.
All right, I understand. Okay, Mate.
So look, he say this conflict of interest assembly, you closed your eyes on 8 years. And you see, lastly, they should know that NDC has 4 years, a 4 years mandate. Promises na Ghana for now, for Philly. We have about 3 or 2.5 years more to go.
Okay. Thank you.
But they shouldn't compare 8 years to 1 year. Right. What we've achieved if that is what they are doing, they are clearly telling Ghanaians say what NDC has done in 1 year is so great that they have to compare it to their 8 years. So if not, then they should desist from it. Because the moment they continue that kind of argument, it means they have accepted the NDC in 1 year has done what they couldn't do in 8 years. Thank you.
Third.
Oh, Jerry. You see, politics no fan of cracker and fine.
In time, Mama, you move be a bread. By your becoswa.
Young pap. Minutia justifies a 4.2 near Nyashi. Because Nipano or qualification now. Otimi AGYEMAN ye. Oh, Jerry. Oh, Patchem is an answer to be dear to know a JHS liver. Tamana or AGYEMAN President Kufuor na bemu. And I know unsi class 1 put that. If you say, Kanofurata. Sabe you. Sabe. Me no ma mototo bo wode e wo kwan me nyam kaseti anopai me say me se me bisa say Kanofurata na ototo bo wode wo kwan and appointing some finance minister. You see, these kinds of post facto rationalization obviously opese o use that standard now. You stick by it and now you stick to it, but you don't approbate and reprobate. Obisa say a day na NPP4 e baye within what ye beye na nye nrechi ya na ye free abem. Mark, you see, o share ye Fourth Republic here since 1992. NDC did so 29 years. NPP 16 years. Jerry, I didn't know the say to whom much is given, much is expected. What achievement can the NDC boast of? If you are talking about the developmental project on the trajectory of this country, it didn't NDC for being can wasem. Apart from when they touting and kete. No, and just a section of the population. For bit is free SHS. If you be benefited from free SHS. Jerry, if you be benefited from free SHS. So you so yes can so your boss or your bema. 1D1F. Can we say a bad project ana? For bit is NHIA, National Health Insurance. For free maternal care.
1D1F they are fantastic, but man to man
for free maternal health. I pay for no kwa wo so asikenti. Or shouldn't question ba. Can we say such policies are not good policies that Ghanaians can applaud the NPP for? So we need to say school feeding. What could school them and the Commodore? And can you understand what school feeding came to do to the ordinary Ghanaian? for capitation grant, for leap, for a bit to say why and then someone your 4K men and almost say why ho and I'm boost you as chief executive officers and there's one landing baby a year workshop for leadership training. On one buy ama directive say mo be entu kwan enko leadership workshop I'm on any
bo
na omunya appointees
CEOs the omo ho
Marjorie me bisa say omunya appointees ana. Have you checked the composition of the entourage amukoye no delegation amukoye watch the composition Marjorie enti me name team etra hanomo enka nkyere me say India 29 years no they have anything monumental to boast of. MPP4 cannot contest because I've given you specific examples of policies. Any near Markesia Omei Aya Yetia Kase and Nam MPP Abanti and then ye benefited from. So say more tonton and I'm person tonton abansa said the mamu. Nene ma left banner. That is what we must talk about. Because in opposition you fought the then government. Even when you didn't have evidence, you were springing unverifiable information in the media concerning appointees of the Akufo-Addo government. But then, after the temporary ban among the Tosono, and then the most more left because it is time to loot. Are they also going to capture our state? Because state capture Etino and Anubino, it was as a result of sale of state lands. So it is time to capture our state. Because someone will say, I'm not a time bomb so and be on before bam into 2.5 years arcade it be capture abani mana Marjorie kokwa kwafosika ne still aban timi ya giving one excuse to the other no and no na we say aban adwen ekoso because we cannot be having a society appointees are enjoying 69% salary increment now ordinary teacher ni 9% salary increment and also cry into esca no. Why can we be running a country where a few are benefiting? The majority are suffering. I always say, until all of us are free, none of us is free. So, President Mahama must touch the very core issues are Eha Omei Munja the tangentials. She touched the main issues are affected the very progress and the very survival of the Ghanaian. Munja the tangential issues.
Okay. Maybe I tell my friends that I'm quite here for 0302257902 03022 57902 and 03022 43540 03022 43540. May I do a drink, Mache?
Yeah, Yaminya Magari, now to say another.
Yamia don't book it.
Eben kwa benyedi. Mame mbomi nya endi na baso wakasapa na minchia ni MP honorable Lipe Makrubu and none of them honorable MC Agbo. Na minchia honorable Akosipita of the shipyard. Yankopon Kano and honorable Ashimo for the Hulu road. Nyoye ni so. Many abema. Eyeme mwa na ya me areho na me ka se to de bia ho utie MPP4 na obi so mo se ase mu free power no 10 years ni and MPP ni to anya ano kasa wo be ka create good tension mo na ke na maye se mo anya ye nya judge bia anka se mo ye create good tension ade de ma mo lutu na nsa mo se ye hu ana so ni makofisa mo grassroots ni entia mo nya 38%. Na mubenya 169 and reduce by 137. Mube ko position kona mu wiawi and mu ko ya mu na 87. Mube can create retention. So I say at the rate to crumble say you stress free policy abana and then your policy one. And now me no say national health insurance I will enya mutu na mo de buy. Ko bisa national health insurance and obi cry for claims ana. Social solution. And now more than more the tapping a buy. Emma na ukoti street assembly crap na ya kama yentia. And na could be some arrest go a bank clear na. Ya receipt Ghana. But I thought you me Jimmy Penny for ya. Yena Yama MP to no Kasa.
Okay.
Because yet now, me conclude about Jerry, me conclude.
Oh.
Yet now, my Ghana. Would them one and Cocrafon echo.
And you no crest, asam and you no crest. But I say, Mammy, next one, Yanto, so Ubian farmer, one and Cocrafon co police. Beba so much.
MJ, so good morning.
Yes, sir.
For you work out there.
Yamiado.
That's the need my power, Eddie Boagana, my me master man, I can't share any simple for any seven. Ghana, a boy almost one saying, so Muba, Uma creativity, say MPP for Ghana from Chrono. Uma we are there, Uma yes, 1 year, almost 3 months. You see, so much you'll be out for 2 more. Yeah, so you're cockot, check. Ama MPP for no I bold, not here, all to the way can. The policy then NDC for the buyer Ebua Ghana, as you say, MPP for Kwan, I had the Abua Ghana. NDC, the woman, yes, Corona NDC for neighbor. Stand up, not for no etepatre. And the other room, some who say 2028, Omosanya vote, and mean a politician, mean supporting NDC, mean supporting MPP. But to be the yard, then a year, and a yedinichi, MPP Betina, so 8 years. Yahunamuye, no money in I for Wusian for her. Ye can't Muntie, ye can't Wusio, Yen Obian bread, Ghana ye de, Yen a bread. As I say, Yen Ghana for. And to make NDC for NDC penny for President Mahama. So, person are buying essence 2028, and then Mr. Yes, or Muyano.
All right, Madam say, Mammy fa my next caller. Mache. Yes, you, Uncle.
Good morning.
Yes, sir.
Mr. MPP, you know, my brother, my partner, my Jerry, youth from the young, you need politics back or you NDC or MPP show. Is there yeah, you hear the NDC for the end of the and Mother from here. No ma babanwa, ama babanwa na adibu for kwa na omuye. She course wo Ghana, she course kura ye yufu ye bre. Ye ni na ye ni eduma bia na ye. But every time they won sorry no ye blame politics. Who say time na roaring to or catch who say omu sorry no omu ye blame them, no mu ye insult omu insult the kita omu ye shi. Umwe bi fi aban akọ. Nini ya ide no, but I say like NDC for the no mo and Mumanya catch on Saturday no mo and yeah, you from your bread.
Madam say, Meba cho mame fa the ono sudi ha. Mache.
Mike, me do so na pata ho.
Nyamia dombo ko etio.
Yo, we Dr. Newman ni tema competition. Mensia anti na kanda for first by Dinka. Na mensia association for next organization. And our honorable organizer, honorable board of them, CFC, women too, Serbia will be, and our honorable use. Minia, it's so interesting for them. You know, say economy now, I see nothing so a year inflation about for me. And no, sir, and 25 economy. Omuka somba be pray for amoma yeduma next time say day today tina ourselves a police for near because that for now mo pala no mo no e tue di na bi no ye for na because ma so that police for no musa it wo to run it 3 times a day no 24 economy for my I say e economy now aye na ye you know e yesu the group in stand to be keep it boy ye to abani to nyeme mo abra e economy na stable na inflation tapa bom abani to nyeme e ku afo sika o tete so no to na the for na they take you no get that you that Ghana by force what you to affect so just 9%. But I say it's Obama ni any time mo be ni Obama to mo you say offend is for
okay Madam say mame fa last caller Mache.
Hello Magari.
Yes sir, it's you.
Oh mame ja oti for enano pay. Na media Arabia Oba National Organizer we are son of kama Bella Oye branch Oba National Youth Organizer a said delegate na say envanamra na media ura bwache jako say Oba National Chairman na me je akopre kwa me Japan be bia obi a me kia no magari me me how what they say NDC for by there be amanfo kan ene yati dollar so ena ya eden petrol boso but magari ade no reflect e we kotokomo he me kan electricity pa said this time no e kona magari e ya na e yawo because minimum electricity the previous government na meto na this year we control electricity na uto ye na I say petrol ye fiegu for na this year na show enu do e kan say na this year ahutire wo ye wo mu nyina mu no Sam George is also about to say the SIM card and yes, SIM card and from so bad. I'm so be one. Some who Namukuta system. I then I'm Munjaki. And as I'm in Baby Jana Daji, I talk of bottom the Mako design. How will do the banner? Sana Mupomi is a mobile. And yet, you hear you, Coco Namudia Omoka, Mundia Omoka. Namuya, dear Moya, now when the Vambudu Mamma and Medasi.
Medas, Hannah Medis, you'll be afraid of Medas. I mean, count. And I am my boy for Media said, Abema, Akosia to Nam, or no Bejina, Moa, at the Obocrata Musa de Bro, near Masacha Mecoramafo, what's an Energy set of fair, a member of the MPP communication.
Uncle, at least also come some closing remarks.
Closing remarks.
Very important.
1 minute at the end.
It's me idea how many naming ceremony na President Mahama or yen na meninje.
And only at the end naming ceremony there.
Because it been say good for oil and reserve. Or say the for the national accelerated national reserve accumulation policy. Magder we kade. And so and NHIS akwate afan baby or say name no Mahama ke.
Yeah, friend Mahama can AK Mahama ke ba di yankasa ho.
Ha nti me dey sana me friend so dey be Ghana for beti ase. Mahama ke dey den.
Okay.
Planting for food and jobs. And I was here for the feed Ghana. But you're waiting to talk about President Mahama. And then one day, one day, for Western Koshemukin, and I was here friend say 24-hour economy. What a joke. Into waiting to talk about the man, President Mahama. That Tony Color TV, I got to black and white.
Stream. I'm about, are they? Yes.
Certain, no, Casa ended there. Oh, or Casa Baby, Casa ended there. Now, the Ghanaians will be the judge at the end of the day, just like they did in 2024. The no omu say koyo and koyo yeja Emma and Ghanaians because me better na ha me catch us NDC here then ebojuma or better na obeka say nya hwe na yeah one day one F na okan ye no ombubo factories na existence factory na omo so si ye no ombubo din ni nkire how can a whole Ashanti regional minister ekotena your friend is in radio so you catch and say ombo just 5 hospitals omo si Ashanti region baku kra win to me ambo. Now we'll catch them and say what have been the impact? Hospitals and yet is it not lives that they save? Is it just about rhetoric? Is it just about sloganeering and free education? Is it just that? It is about the action. It is about nyamane work grounds na ibe hunu. Answer na NDC ban nap go ne wen. One day one F na wen. Agenda one and hin no more complete here. They should stop the noise. We saw what they did. The NDC will do better, and by the end of President Mahama's tenure, the Ghanaians would give the NDC an overwhelming support again to continue the good works.
Better say, I had a medicine DJ Bosco Crado. Better say, Alex Entry, my studio assistant. Kwadona mi ado me producer, and I've been out from my background, and I also for woman in charge of the social media administration. Na better say, I'm Dr. Father Dixon, na executive producer. The general manager Kennedy Santos say Esquire on the body chidom. And you remember me do share touchlight. So meeting and the MONTIE AGYEMAN. Memo be productive working day. And then yame emfa ni shira ni so. The other sabeka be ye shira emfa maye. Ebra wonya kwadwofo yi nyame emwa na de bia kakra emra botom na won so wetimi adane ho wetimi atene. Me do bibia say DJ Bosco Baba boy, nyom kama.